Chapter 2068. Looking at Ning Shuilua's sad face, Zhuang Lingyu felt sorry for her. Shuilua, don't be sad. It's just a clothing company. It's not a big deal if it's gone. The most important thing for you now is to take care of yourself and give birth to the child. Then you can start all over again. Ning Yaohua echoed. Your mother is right. Nothing is more important than the child. This was the key for her to gain a foothold in the Su family. With the power of the Su family, it would be a trivial matter for her to open a company in the future. Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yaohua were comforting their daughter. At this moment, an unfamiliar woman who looked like a nanny carefully came out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup in her hand. Madam Zhuang, you're back. The anti-miscarriage soup is ready. Drink it while it's hot. Anti-miscarriage soup. Ning Shuo was acting like an obedient daughter who had been wronged by a genius, but forbore to argue with Ning, she for the sake of Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yaohua. Suddenly hearing the nanny's words, her face went blank for a second. Did she hear it wrong? Did the nanny just say anti-miscarriage soup? For Madame Zhuang? The nanny walked up to them and found that there was another person sitting on the sofa besides Zhuang Lingyu. She immediately said, "This must be Miss Ning. She's as beautiful and elegant as you, madam. I heard that you're also pregnant, so I made a lot of it. Miss Ning, please have a bowl." Ning Shuilua was completely dumbfounded. She had no idea what was going on. Mom, this is... Zhuang Lingyu didn't expect the nanny to suddenly come out and bump into Ning Shuilua. She subconsciously touched her belly and looked a little embarrassed, as if she didn't know what to say. Ning Yaohua's expression seemed a little unnatural. He coughed lightly and said with a red face, "Shuiluo, this is the new auntie I hired. She specializes in making pregnant women's meals. Your mother, she is pregnant, what?" Ning Yaohua's words were like a bolt of lightning, striking her mind. Ning Shuo realized that her reaction seemed to be too extreme. She hurriedly calmed herself down and put on a surprised expression. "Dad, what did you just say? Mother is pregnant?" Ning Yaohua held Zhuang Lingyu's hand and said excitedly, "Yes. Shuiluo, you also know that because of your mother's health condition, she couldn't have another child. This has always been a regret for us. In fact, for the past year, your mother and I have been trying our best to find someone to be a surrogate mother, but we haven't been successful. Originally, we didn't have any hope. Who knew that your mother was pregnant?" At this point, Ning Yaohua's excitement was hard to conceal, and Zhuang Lingyu's face was also filled with happiness. Ning Shuilua's mind went blank when she heard that. It was followed by a burning rage. Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant. At this time, Zhuang Lingyu was actually pregnant. Ning Yaohua thought that Ning Shuilua was too surprised. He did not notice the gloomy look on her face. He was still immersed in joy. "You've been busy lately, so I didn't have time to tell you the good news. Shuiluo, you're indeed our Ning family's little lucky star. Now our Ning family is really blessed with double happiness." "Ha, double happiness. What a double happiness." Ning Shuilua's internal organs felt like they were on fire. She was so angry that she almost suffered internal injuries. Chapter 2069. Ning Yaohua didn't notice Ning Shuilua's true feelings at all. He said sincerely, "Shuilua, it's been hard on you all these years. You're a girl, but you've been working hard for the company every day. When your brother grows up and takes over the company, you'll be able to put down the burden on your shoulders. I used to worry that your mother and I only had one daughter. Now, after your mother and I die, you and your mother will have each other's company. Your mother and I will be relieved." "Ha, brother, that's right. They must have gone for a checkup to confirm that the baby in their wombs was a boy, the long-awaited heir of the Ning family. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so happy." Ning Shuo trembled with anger as she listened to Ning Yaohua's words. "When my brother grows up and takes over the company." She had tried so hard to force Ning Shi to leave because she was their only daughter. If they had a son now, who would be their own flesh and blood, would she still have a place in the Ning family? They were burning the bridge after they had a son, and they even said that they would have each other's company and felt sorry for her. They were just throwing her away after using her, without any consideration for her at all. She was already in a difficult situation in the Su family, and Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant with a boy, the future heir of the Ning family. She was being driven to death. Ning Shuiluo swallowed the mouthful of blood. Her face was filled with surprise. That's great. That's great. Congratulations, Mom and Dad. Zhuang Lingyu took Ning Shuiluo's hand. Thank you, Shuiluo. Don't worry. We won't neglect you just because we have a brother. You'll always be my most precious daughter. Ning Shuiluo sneered in her heart, but she pretended to be happy for her and said gratefully, Mom, of course I know that. I've always hoped to have a partner, and I hope to have a brother who can be filial to Mom and Dad with me and support me. Hearing Ning Shuiluo's words, Ning Yaohua dispelled the last uneasiness and worries in his heart. He immediately said, Of course. If your brother doesn't support you, who else can he support? Zhuang Lingyu was worried that Ning Shuiluo would be unhappy. She was relieved when she saw Ning Shuiluo's attitude. She said gently, Stay at home for a few more days. Mom will nourish you well. The smile on Ning Shuiluo's face became even brighter. She said expectantly, Mom, you should take good care of your brother. It just so happens that the child in my belly can accompany you. Ning Yaohua nodded with satisfaction as he looked at the happy mother and daughter. He put on a fatherly expression and took the opportunity to say, Shui Luo, I will pay more attention to the company during this period. You don't have to worry about it. Just stay at home with your mother and rest well. When Ning Shui Luo heard this, her back stiffened and her nails dug into her palms. Well, she finally got rid of Ning Shi, that bitch, and got all the shares of Ning Yaohua and Ning Yaobang. Now she had the real power of the company. Now, just because of this unborn child, he was trying to take back the power in her hands step by step, paving the way for his precious son. What a considerate and loving father. Chapter 2070. Thank you, Dad. You are so kind to me. If there's a next life, I will be your daughter again. Ning Shuiluo was touched. She looked innocent, as if she didn't notice anything. Dear town, garden house. Knock, knock, knock. The peaceful morning was suddenly broken by a loud knock on the door. The man outside the door was shouting at the top of his lungs. Ning Xiaoxi, come out. Don't hide in there. I know you are at home. Hurry up and come out for this young lord. Ning Shi, who was playing with Lu Tingxiao in the garden, spat out a mouthful of tea when she heard the voice. She carefully leaned on Lu Tingxiao's shoulder and looked out. Oh no, the cat is out of the bag. The golden retriever is going to bite me to death this time. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the door. What did you do? Well. Ning Shi laughed dryly. Ning Xiaoxi, how dare you betray me? Open the door if you can. Open the door. Jiang Mai was still shouting outside. Ning Shi coughed lightly and explained, Actually, I didn't do anything. Here's the thing. Do you remember Orlando? Hearing this name, Lu Tingxiao narrowed his eyes. Yes, of course he remembered. How could he not remember someone who had once coveted his wife? He had a small notebook in his heart. Obviously, this notebook was very thick. Thanks to Boss Lu's excellent memory, he could remember everything. Sigh, isn't Thunderbolt about to be released? This time, when I went to Luoyang City for work, it was inevitable that I would bump into Orlando. In the end, that playboy acted up again. Thinking about how we would be working together for a long time in the future, I didn't want to make our relationship too awkward. Just as I was worrying about it, guess what happened? Ning Shi's eyes lit up as she said this. She seemed to be keeping him guessing. What happened? Lu Tingxiao's fingers stroked the girl's soft hair. His eyes focused on the girl's excited and lively expression. Ning, she said excitedly. Then that day, Orlando came to the set of The Killers to look for me and met Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai dressed in women's clothes. Ning, she deliberately emphasized the last sentence. Lu Tingxiao raised his eyebrows. Love at first sight. Ning, she slapped her thigh. Sweetheart, you are so smart. Lu Tingxiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This development was indeed hard to imagine. Sweetheart, you don't know this. When Orlando saw Jiang Mai in women's clothes, he said that he fell in love and begged me to help him. He also said that he would invite me to their wedding in the future. Seeing how sincere he was, I naturally agreed. Don't you think so? Lu Tingxiao. Just as Ning, she was feeling proud of herself, her fair and delicate chin was suddenly pinched by a slightly calloused finger, and then there was a deep and lingering kiss. Ning Shi, who was suddenly kissed by the devil, widened her eyes and blinked. Why did he suddenly kiss me? But it didn't matter anyway. Ning Shi paused for a while, and then took the initiative to kiss him back. A moment later, Lu Tingxiao breathed heavily against the girl's lips and said, "Reward." It took Ning Shi 3 seconds to understand what Lu Tingxiao meant. Oh, is my sweetheart praising me for obediently pinching the peach blossom? She really admired her ability to understand. At this moment, outside the gate of the courtyard, a single man was still barking miserably. "Ning Xiaoxi, you are so heartless to the opposite sex. Our friendship has come to an end." Ning, she murmured, "Alas, we can't be brothers, but we can be aunts." Chapter 2071. In the end, the rabid golden retriever rushed in. "Ning Xiaoxi, don't hide behind my uncle." Ning, she curled her lips. "Am I stupid?" Then she began to gossip. "Hey, Jiangmai, what did Orlando do to you? Why are you so angry?" Jiangmai clutched his chest and almost vomited blood. "I was pissed off by you." Ning, she mumbled weakly. "Come on, you're a man. Why are you afraid of him? He can eat you up. When two scums meet, one of them will win. I think that with your skills, you can definitely kill him in a second." Jiangmai gnashed his teeth. "Thank you for your confidence in me. Besides, Orlando is far away in China." Ning, she was still struggling. "Bullshit. Thunderbolt will be released the day after tomorrow. That guy's been in China all this time." Jiangmai looked like he was about to collapse. Ning, she suddenly came to her senses. She patted her chest and sighed. "All right. Oh my God, thank God." Fortunately, Jiangmai had saved her from this disaster. Ning Xiaoxi. Jiangmai was furious again. This bastard had deliberately used him as a shield. Ning Shi's hair was about to be blown up. Just then, Lu Tingxiao looked at Jiangmai with his little wife in his arms. "Your mother just called me." The moment Lu Tingxiao's voice fell, Jiangmai was stunned. "Damn, my mother. What did she say to you?" Every time his mother came to see Lu Tingxiao, nothing good would come out of it. Sure enough, just as Jiangmai was thinking about this, Lu Tingxiao said, "Discuss your marriage with me." "Fuck," Jiangmai cursed. Couldn't his mother stop for a while? She knew he was most afraid of Lu Tingxiao, so she always used Lu Tingxiao to pressure him and force him to get married. "I'll help you. You're busy with your career now. You don't have to worry about marriage." Jiang Mai's face was as pale as a sheet. When he heard this, he felt like he was bathed in Buddha's light. He was so excited that he almost cried. "Right? Uncle, you're absolutely right." One had to know that no matter who it was, 800 words from Lu Tingxiao would not be as useful as a single word from him in front of his mother. With Lu Tingxiao's words, he wouldn't be forced into marriage for at least a year. Jiang Mai carefully considered this deal and decided that it was not a bad deal. Forget it. I'll just take it as me helping you out this time." Damn it. Back then, he was still one of the best among the prodigal sons. Among the 10,000 flowers, not a single leaf touched his body. How could he be afraid that he wouldn't be able to deal with Holland? "Oh, sweetheart, you're the best." Jiang Mai just calmed down when he saw a certain someone was kissing his sweetheart. "Please, I'm the one who sacrificed myself, and I'm the one who helped you." "Forget it, heartache." Jiang Mai gnashed his teeth in anger as he looked at the lovey-dovey couple in front of him. At this time, Jiang Mai seemed to have thought of something, and his expression suddenly changed. He did not know when it started. Seeing the two of them together, he no longer felt so sour and uncomfortable. It was as if he was looking at a friend or even a relative. Ha! Lu Tingxiao. That guy's eyes were too sharp. He probably saw that he had already given up, so he kindly helped him reject the blind date. Forget it. His love rival was too abnormal, and the person he liked was even more abnormal. He had lost to the point where he didn't have any temper at all. Chapter 2072. 2 days later, Agents of the Thunderbolt was released worldwide. It was only the first day, but all the fans who had watched the entire movie were shocked. 7 seconds. Nothing else. Nothing else. Ning Shi appeared in the movie for a full 15 minutes, and her role was extremely outstanding. She even had an ambiguous relationship with Orlando. There was even a foreshadowing at the end of the movie. It was very likely that she would be resurrected to participate in the filming of the second movie. The entire fan circle was in an uproar. Shi's fans were exhilarated. Oh, Brother Shi's Red Cheongsam, the movie is so beautiful. Nonsense. I'm a woman and I want to lick the screen. Especially the scene between Brother Shi and Orlando. It's so cute. I'm looking forward to the second movie. I'm going to watch the second movie tomorrow. This time, if anyone dares to say that my brother Shi got the hitman through connections and shady dealings, I'll slap him to the wall so hard that he can't be pulled out. Brother Shi entered Hollywood a year ago, okay? Tai Jingjing's strength and foundation are right there. Ning Shuiluo's diehard fans who haven't given up are still saying that Brother Shi stole Ning Shuiluo's agents of the Thunderbolt. Come on, when Ning Shuiluo was still in the industry, the role she got was only for 7 seconds. Now that it's in Brother Shi's hands, Brother Shi has become an important character. That's the difference. In a dark room, Ning Shuiluo's face reflected the cold light of the laptop screen. The news of the screening of the Thunderbolt Special Agent Force was everywhere on the internet, and they were all praising Ning Shi. It was hers. Agents of the Thunderbolt was supposed to be hers. Everything that Ning Shi had today was supposed to be hers. Those gazes, those applause, those overflowing praises, Suya and the Ning family, but soon. Everything would be over soon. Ning Shuiluo picked up a glass of red wine and drank it in one gulp. Ha! Ning Shi, enjoy everything now. I've said it before, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. A luxury shopping mall in Imperial City. Zhuang Lingyu had just returned from a nursery with a full load, and she was still a little unsatisfied. The 2 maids and the chauffeur beside her were all carrying big and small bags. Madam, we've been out for a long time. Let's go home. Otherwise, Mr. will be worried. The maid at the side hurriedly advised. It's only been an hour. Don't listen to him. Zhuang Lingyu was a little disappointed. The maid smiled apologetically. Sir, he's just worried about you and cares about you. After all, madam, it wasn't easy for you to have this child. Speaking of children, Zhuang Lingyu subconsciously stroked her lower abdomen, her eyes filled with tenderness. She had always treated Ning Shuiluo as her own daughter. However, the fact that her own flesh and blood was so unbearable had always been a hurdle in her heart. Ning, she was the biggest stain on her life. No matter how she tried to distance herself from her, it couldn't change the fact that her blood flowed in her body. She desperately wanted to prove that the dirty stain had nothing to do with her. So she poured all her efforts into Ning Shuiluo. She was naturally satisfied with Ning Shuiluo. However, if she could have a child and have her own flesh and blood, she would naturally be happy to have a fresh start. Let's go. Zhuang Lingyu was in a good mood, so she didn't care too much. The few of them heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly escorted Zhuang Lingyu to the parking lot. Just as they were about to get into the car with Zhuang Lingyu, something unexpected happened. Chapter 2073. Just as they were about to get into the car with Zhuang Lingyu, something happened. A black motorcycle with a loud roar suddenly rushed straight in their direction from afar. Be careful, madam. The driver protected Zhuang Lingyu and dodged to the back. Just as they heaved a sigh of relief, the heavy-duty motorcycle suddenly changed its direction and headed towards them. Strictly speaking, it was heading straight for Zhuang Lingyu. The speed of the motorcycle was too fast. This time, Zhuang Lingyu did not manage to dodge it. By the time the maid and the driver reacted, Zhuang Lingyu had already been hit more than a meter away. She fell into a pool of blood and passed out on the spot. The heavy-duty motorcycle didn't even wait for them to clearly see what it looked like before it had completely disappeared into the crowd. Ah, murder, murder, murder. Madam, the 2 maids screamed. The driver was completely scared out of his wits. After a while, his expression changed drastically and he ran over. Madam, make a call. Call Chairman Ning and Miss Su. Quick. The onlookers all exclaimed after noticing the situation. They gathered together and whispered. The scene suddenly became a mess. What happened? It seems like she was hit by a car. There seems to be a gang of bikers robbing people, but I've never heard of anyone being killed. Aya, this seems to be a pregnant woman. I'm afraid the child is going to die. I saw that the car was so fierce that it could probably kill an adult, let alone a child. TSK, TSK, TSK. In a ward of the hospital, the middle-aged woman on the bed was sweating profusely. Her face was as pale as a piece of paper. Zhuang Lingyu opened her eyes in a daze. She felt like her whole body was falling apart. Her lower abdomen was throbbing violently. Her blurry vision swept across the room. She saw Ning Yaohua, Ning Shuo, Su Yin, Zheng Minjun, and Su Hongguang, as well as the two maids and the driver who accompanied her shopping earlier were all there. The atmosphere in the room was unusually heavy. Ning Shuo lowered her head and sobbed with tears all over her face. Ning Yaohua's expression was extremely ugly. The three people from the Su family did not have any expression, but the two maids and the driver were pale and trembling in the corner. What's wrong with me? Zhuang Lingyu asked slowly. The moment she opened her mouth, she suddenly remembered what had happened. She had just finished shopping and was about to go home when she was hit by a speeding car. Then, she lost consciousness at this moment. Looking at the ward she was in and the reactions of everyone in the room, Zhuang Lingyu's face was full of horror. She anxiously stretched out her hand to press her stomach. Where's the child? How's my baby? Is the baby okay? Ning Shuo seemed to be unable to hold on any longer. She cried and threw herself in front of Zhuang Lingyu's bed. Mom, don't be too sad. It doesn't matter if the child is gone, as long as you're fine. The child was gone. These four words were like a bolt out of the blue, causing Zhuang Lingyu's vision to turn black as she hissed, Shui Luo, what did you say? What did you just say? The child was gone. How could the child be gone? At this moment, Ning Yaohua's eyes were bloodshot and his body was trembling violently. It was obvious that he was extremely angry. He turned around and kicked the driver. You bastard! How did you take care of Madam? How could you let Madam get hit by a car while you were shopping? Gone. His son was gone. The son that he had waited so long for. His heir was gone just like that. Chapter 2074. His biggest regret in life was not having a son. Not only did he have one, but Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant with him. Once the child was born, he would be the heir of the Ning family. By then, those elders who questioned Ning Shuo's identity would have nothing to say. He even planned to use the child to get back in touch with the Zhuang family. But now everything was gone. When Ning Yaohua first heard the news, he was so angry that he almost went crazy. Such a big thing happened, and the madam's child was actually killed. The two little maids trembled, and they were so scared that they couldn't speak at all. Chairman Ning and Madam loved the child so much. They were dead meat. The driver's face was as pale as a sheet. His body and hands were still stained with blood. Ning Yaohua's kick had left him bruised and swollen. He was in a trance and stammered. Chairman Ning, I don't know. I really don't know how this happened. We were just about to go home with Madam when a motorcycle suddenly came towards us at high speed and hit Madam. Nonsense. A living person was standing there. Did the motorcycle not have eyes? Ning Yaohua was furious. Ning Shuo said angrily, there were so many of you, and you had so many eyes. How could you not protect my mother? Hearing Ning Shuo's angry rebuke, she thought that they had not taken good care of her and pushed all the blame onto them. The driver panicked and quickly said, Miss, I'm innocent. It's not that we are blind. It's that motorcyclist who was blind. He came straight at us. I protected Madam and dodged to the back, but it was as if that person did it on purpose. He changed his direction midway and came straight at Madam. On purpose? What do you mean? Ning Shuo frowned. Then, the two maids recovered from the shock and echoed. I think the motorcyclist did it on purpose. We were all standing together, and he didn't hit anyone. He just went straight for Madam. The other maid said, that person was too fast. We couldn't even react in time. We couldn't even get in front of Madam. And I think that person purposely went straight for Madam's stomach. Ning Shuo turned to Ning Yaohua in disbelief. Did they do this on purpose? At this moment, the driver's tone was even more certain. It must have been deliberate. If it was a motorcycle thief, they would at least rob the bag, but they didn't rob anything at all. Moreover, his target from the very beginning was the Madam. Otherwise, that person wouldn't have turned around and crashed into Madame when I had already protected Madame. Zhuang Lingyu lay on the bed, crying so hard that she was about to die. My child, why? Who is it? Why would they do this to me? Who is so daring that they even dare to touch someone from my Ning clan? Ning Yaohua was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. Zheng Minjun put on an act and said with a face full of righteous indignation, and this is in broad daylight. She has no respect for the law. Su Yin analyzed. Based on their description, I'm afraid this isn't just an accident. Su Hongwang looked at Ning Yaohua and asked in a low voice, Yaohua, did you make enemies with someone recently? Ning Yaohua thought for a moment and immediately denied it. Impossible. Everything in the company has been fine recently. Even if there were some conflicts in business, with the Ning Corporation's current scale and the marriage alliance with the Su clan, no one would be so daring as to touch the Ning clan. Chapter 2075. Zheng Minjun looked at the Ning family's mournful expressions and looked at Zhuang Lingyu, who was lying on the sickbed, crying her heart out. She felt a burst of joy. This Zhuang Lingyu had long been kicked out of the Zhuang family. Normally, she always acted like the daughter of a noble family. She had her eyes on the top of her head and looked down on everyone. After she got pregnant, she was even more complacent. Of course, the thing that annoyed her the most was the child in Zhuang Lingyu's stomach. The biggest reason she agreed to let Ning Xiaoluo marry into the family was because Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu only had one daughter. Now that a son was suddenly born, who knew if the two of them would take back all the shares in Shuai Luo's hands? The child was still young, so they would not go against him. When the child grew up, how could Ning Yaohua, who was an old fox who missed his son so much, not give the company to his own son? By then, what would the Su family be? Not only would they marry a fake phoenix, they would also lose the right to inherit the company. Wasn't that a waste of money? The Ning family's plan was too good. They were playing them like fools, but the Su family only had to worry about the child in Ning Xiaoluo's stomach, so they swallowed their anger like idiots. TSK. But now she finally got what she deserved. Zhuang Lingyu didn't know what she had done to deserve this. She didn't expect her child to be lost. Zheng Minjun thought to herself, but she didn't show it on her face. She sighed and said with a sad and worried expression, Lingyu, did you accidentally offend someone in your daily life? Before Zhuang Lingyu could speak, Ning Xiaoluo immediately said with certainty, Mother has always been kind and has a good relationship with people in the circle. She has been living in seclusion to take care of the baby. How could she have offended anyone? Even if there was a small conflict, it would not be to the point of hiring a killer to hurt someone. At this point, the faces of everyone in the room turned ugly and they fell silent. Ning Xiaoluo's face was full of tears. She was sad and desperate as if she had lost her child. That person clearly wanted to hurt the child in Mother's stomach. Who was so evil? He knew that Mother was pregnant, but he did not even spare the child. What kind of hatred does he have that he would do such a cruel thing to take revenge? Su Hongwang thought for a moment, then analyzed the situation to Ning Yaohua. If he did it to Shuai Luo or Yu, it could be said that it was because of a dispute in the company. But if he did it to Ling Yu, and to Ling Yu's child at that, it's more likely that he's simply venting his anger for revenge. At this time, in the corner, one of the maids suddenly said weakly, Missy. Actually, I think I've seen that motorcycle somewhere before. What? Where is it? At that moment, everyone's gaze fell on the little maid. I'm not sure. Maybe I saw it wrong. The little maid didn't dare to say anything. Ning Yaohua scolded sternly. Regardless of whether I'm mistaken or not, tell me where you've seen it. The little maid's voice trembled, and she said intermittently, That's not an ordinary motorcycle. It's a motorcycle. It's specially used for competitions. The family I work for was very close to Miss Ningxi's residence. At that time, I often saw people riding similar motorcycles in front of Miss Ningxi's door. One of them looked very similar to the one that hit Madame. The moment the little maid's voice fell, Ning Yaohua's face instantly darkened. Ningxi, you said you saw this motorcycle at Ningxi's place? Chapter 2076. The moment they heard the name Ning Shi, all the people present had different expressions. Su Yan, who had been silent, frowned. Are you sure it's the same car? The little maid shrank and shook her head. Because the car was too fast, I didn't have time to take a closer look, so I can't be sure. I just said I've seen a similar car in Miss Ning Shi's place. Before they came to a conclusion, Zhuang Lingyu, who was lying on the sickbed, froze for a few seconds and suddenly sat up emotionally. Ning Shi. It's her, it's that damn girl. It must be her, except for her. Who else would hate me so much, hate the child in my belly so much? Ning Shuo saw that Zhuang Lingyu had already identified Ning Shi as Ning Shi just because of the maid's casual words. She didn't need others to say anything at all. Ning Shuo smiled imperceptibly and hurriedly comforted her. Mom, calm down. It's just the maid's side of the story. And she said she's not sure. I think although my sister has a misunderstanding with us, she won't do such a terrible thing. Since Zhuang Lingyu heard the little maid's words and Ning Shi's name, she couldn't listen to anything else. Who else could it be but her? She won't. Hasn't she done more vicious and terrible things? Shui Luo, have you forgotten what she did to you? She ruined your career, your reputation, and your company step by step. She forced you to this point. She has already destroyed my first child, and now she's going to destroy my second child as well. I've said it before. She's deliberately going against me. She doesn't want me to have an easy time. She'll only be satisfied if she torments the Ning family until there's no peace. Zhuang Lingyu's emotions became more and more agitated. Her shrill screams echoed in the ward. Ning Yaohua's face trembled. At this moment, he looked extremely angry. That girl won't have the guts. Zhuang Lingyu sneered. No, she's so capable now. Moreover, she had gotten to know so many people from all walks of life. Was there anything she couldn't do? If she didn't have such guts, would Shui Luo have been framed by her until today? Ning Shuiluo's face was filled with disbelief. Her eyes were red as she shook her head. No, no. How can my sister do that? I know she hates me. I always knew it. But if she hated me, she would have targeted me. I can do whatever she wants me to do. But why? Why did she place all her resentment on her mother? Mother, you have done nothing wrong. Moreover, you are her biological mother, and the child in your belly is her biological brother. How could she do such a thing? Ning Shuiluo's words seemed to be defending Ning Shi, but her words deepened the suspicion in Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yaohua's hearts. Ning Shuo stood up while wiping her tears. It's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, my sister wouldn't have gone down the wrong path. It's all my fault. I'm going to make things clear to my sister. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu panicked when they saw Ning Shuo rushing out of the room. This child, how could he be so impulsive? She is still pregnant. Su Yan, hurry up and get Shui Luo back. Ning Yaohua said anxiously. Su Yan nodded and immediately rushed out of the ward. Good night. The update is over. Everyone should be able to see that it's almost over. Don't be anxious. Chapter 2077. Su Yan was one step too late. Ning Shuiluo had already gotten into a taxi. The car made a turn and soon disappeared on the busy road. Su Yan cursed under his breath and hurriedly chased after them. Zieling's company building. In the president's office, Han Momo was crying and asking Ning Shi to work overtime. Boss, I beg of you, please arrange for me to work overtime. Saturdays and weekends, give me a full schedule every night. Ning Shi put down the document in her hand, pinched her eyebrows, and looked at the little girl in front of her, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. It's the first time I've heard such a refreshing and refined request. Han Momo was so anxious that her eyes turned red. Boss, I'm serious. All right, tell me, why do you want to work overtime? Han Momo didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she cried out with grievance. My parents abuse me at home every day. Ning, she paused. Torture you? Han Momo suddenly began to complain. Boss, I'm only 24 years old. It had only been 2 years since he graduated from university. The age of a flower. They began to urge me to find a man, despising me for not having a boyfriend. But they were the ones who were so strict with me in the past. My dad almost broke a male classmate's leg when he came to my house to inform me of something. Now, they're all urging me to find a man. Where am I supposed to find one? The most outrageous thing was that the two of them showed off their affection in front of me every day and then mocked me for being a single dog. There was no way to continue living like this. Boss, my heart is so bitter. Please let me work overtime. I don't want to go back and eat dog food anymore. Han Momo didn't even gasp for breath when she said so much at once. It was really sad to hear it, and tears flowed down. After crying, Han Momo saw Ning. She's staring at her blankly. She had never seen Ning. She looked so lonely. She couldn't help but feel worried. She scratched her head and asked cautiously, "Boss, what's wrong with you?" Ning, she came back to her senses and shook her head. Nothing. Listening to Han Momo talking about her interactions with her parents, she suddenly felt a little emotional. At this time, Han Momo's cell phone suddenly rang. When Han Momo saw the caller ID, she suddenly felt as if she was facing a formidable enemy. Looking at Ning Shi's expression, she was about to cry. She hurriedly took the mobile phone aside and began to make the call in a low voice. "Mom, no, I really have to work overtime. I'm not lying. I'll be a puppy if I lie to you. I'm not calling you a puppy. I'm talking about myself. All right. Anyway, I really have to work overtime." Ning Shi sat at her desk, not in a hurry. She just quietly watched Han Momo make the phone call. Seeing the little girl crying, he chuckled and waved at her, indicating for her to give him the phone. Seeing this, Han Momo hesitated for a moment and handed over the phone. "Hello, Aunt Han. I'm Momo's boss." Han's mother, who was still talking about her daughter on the other end of the phone, suddenly stopped talking when she heard Ning Shi's voice. She said in a very eager tone, "It's Momo's boss. Hello. Did Momo cause you any trouble? Or did you do something wrong?" "No, Momo works very hard and does a good job. I'm going to promote her, so she may have more work during this period." Ning Shi said softly. It's fine. It's time for young people to work hard. It's Momo's honor that you value her." That lass had a carefree personality. Does she often make mistakes? If she makes a mistake, boss, don't hesitate to scold her. Then she will remember. Chapter 2078. Han Momo's face turned red when she overheard her mother's words. "Mom, I didn't. Don't talk nonsense." Ning Shi chuckled carelessly. "Momo has a good personality and is pretty. She is very popular in the company." "Oh, really?" Mom Han said modestly, but her tone showed that she was very happy. Ning Shi chatted with Mom Han for a long time before hanging up. She even made Mom Han give up the idea of urging her to find a boyfriend. Han Momo was so grateful that she even wanted to marry Ning Shi. "Brother Shi, you are lucky that you are not a man. Otherwise, the girls in our company would fight every day." Ning Shi looked at the little girl's back and shook her head with a smile. When she was in the Tang family, because of the preference for boys over girls, she was basically an invisible person. It was already very fortunate that she was able to survive without being thrown away. After returning to the Ning family, she was finally no longer invisible. However, under all the probing and harsh gazes, she passed her days as if she was treading on thin ice. She seemed to have never experienced what an ordinary family's life was like, and how to get along with her parents while she was lost in thought. Her cell phone suddenly rang. Lu Tingxiao, who had just gone to F country on a business trip in the morning, sent several text messages in a row. "It's getting cold this afternoon. I asked Wanwan to bring you clothes. Remember to wear them. Don't be greedy. I've made the bird's nest for you. Put it in and set it to stew automatically. Remember to eat it. I've read the script for you. It's very suitable for you. You can take it. Do you miss me?" Seeing the last 3 words, Ning, she couldn't help smiling. "Come on, it's only been 5 hours, okay? You should have just gotten off the plane, right?" Ning, she leaned on the table and replied with a smile. "The first second you left, I missed you. The second you left, I missed you. The third second you left, I missed you. The third second you left, I missed you. I've missed you 18,000 times." At the moment, there was a noisy discussion in the front hall of Zealing. After a group of employees heard the commotion, they craned their necks to look over. "Miss Ning, I'm sorry. You can't go in without an appointment." "Miss Ning, Don't go in anymore. Please don't make it difficult for us. Miss Ning. Miss Ning. The receptionist was stopping a woman, and the person being stopped was the boss of history, Ning Shuo. What's going on? Why is Ning Shuo Luo in our territory? Fuck. Could it be that she still wants to cause trouble? I don't think so. Why would he come alone to cause trouble? What the hell are you doing now? In any case, it's definitely nothing good. Everyone saw that Ning Shuo seemed to be very emotional at this moment. No matter how the receptionist tried to persuade her, she wouldn't listen and kept repeating, I have something urgent to discuss with Ningxi. Please let her come out and see me. Seeing that the staff was still not letting her in, Ning Shuo had already barged in agitatedly. Sister, don't hide from me. It's time to put an end to things between us. In the past, no matter what you did to me, I could endure it. But this time, you've gone too far. If you have any enmity, come at me. I will accept it all. Why did you attack Mother? Even innocent children are not spared. There was too much information in Ning Shuo's words. In an instant, almost all the onlookers were stunned. What is Ning Shuo talking about? She seems to be saying that our boss attacked Mother or something. Even the children were not spared? Nonsense. Chapter 2079. Ling's employees knew that Ning Shuo was pregnant, so they didn't dare to touch her. In the end, she actually let her break into the building. The receptionist was so anxious that she had to call Ning Shi. President Ning, Miss Ning Shuo suddenly came to see you. She didn't make an appointment. We stopped her, but she was very agitated and kept saying some strange things. Then she barged in when we weren't paying attention. The other end of the phone was silent for a moment, and then Ning Shi's reassuring voice came. What did she say? The receptionist's tone sounded a bit hesitant. After a while, she said that the matter between the two of you should come to an end. She also asked you why you attack her mother. She said that you wouldn't even let an innocent child off. CEO Ning, I'm sorry for letting her speak nonsense in the company. The main reason was that she was pregnant. We were afraid that something would happen, so we didn't dare to stop her. I understand. Let everyone do their own things. Yes, Director Ning. After a moment of chaos, the company temporarily returned to peace. Ning, she hung up the phone in the office. Ning Shuo suddenly came to the company to look for her, and she even barged in. This wasn't like her. Lay hands on my mother? They wouldn't even let innocent children off. She had previously received news that Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant. From what Ning Shuo said, Zhuang Lingyu's child was gone. There was a commotion outside, and the office door was pushed open from the outside. A few security guards stood behind Ning Shuo awkwardly. Boss, it's fine. You guys can go back. Yes. The security guards breathed a sigh of relief and left. For a moment, there were only two people left in the large office. Ning Shuo's hair was loose, and her makeup was messy. She looked very embarrassed and seemed to be on the verge of breaking down. As soon as she saw Ning Shi, she knelt down in front of her and said, Sister, I beg you, no matter how much you hate me, come at me. Don't hurt others. The corners of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. She deeply felt that the Oscars owed her a little golden statue. No one would doubt that she was a filial daughter with a sincere heart when she saw her mother's miscarriage, and her expression was filled with self-blame, guilt, and pain. All right, there's no one else here. You don't have to show off your acting skills to me. The moment Ning Shi's voice fell, the anger on Ning Shuo Luo's face immediately faded like the tide, suddenly turning into a strange calmness. She stood up slowly and combed the slightly messy hair on her temples. She smiled lightly and said, CEO Ning, it's really not easy to see you now. Eldest Miss Ning, what can I do for you? Ning Shuo's face twitched when she heard Ning Shi say Miss Ning in a mocking tone. Of course. I'm here to appreciate how proud Director Ning is now. The gloom in Ning Shuo's eyes surged like a whirlpool. Ning Shi, you must be very proud now, right? You forced me out of the entertainment industry and let everyone know that I was born to a country bumpkin. You even made the whole world know that Su Yin wanted to divorce me because of you. Now, even the history that I single-handedly created has been destroyed in your hands. Now, my reputation is in tatters, and I've lost all face. I have nothing now. Are you happy and proud? The only thing she had left now was the position of Madame Sue. If it wasn't for the child in her belly, she would have been mercilessly abandoned by the Sue family. This bitch, she had forced her to this point. Chapter 2080. Ning, she was surprised to hear this. Is it something to be proud of to crush a bug? You. Ning Shulo suddenly clenched her fingers. She was so angry that her body began to tremble, but she soon recovered her elegant posture. She smiled casually and said unhurriedly, Ning Shi, I wanted to spare your life. Outside the door, there was a flurry of footsteps, and Su Yan's voice seemed to be heard. Ning Shula looked at the glass of water on the tea table out of the corner of her eye and slowly gave Ning Shi a strange sneer. 3 white pills appeared in her palm. The pills fell into the glass of water one by one from Ning Shua's palm and instantly melted and disappeared. Ning Shua picked up the glass of water and then continued to say quietly, You can only blame yourself for walking on the road to death. Then don't blame me. With that, she drank up the water in the glass. But in a moment, Ning Shua's face suddenly changed. The glass in her hand fell to the ground, making a cracking sound. Ning Shua's mouth overflowed with blood. She covered her stomach and rolled on the ground. Shula. Su Yin slammed the door open and rushed in when he heard the commotion. His expression changed drastically when he saw Ning Shua lying on the ground and the broken glass next to her. He also saw the blood spreading under her body. Ning Shi sat at the desk and didn't even frown from beginning to end. Ning Shua covered her stomach incredulously and stared at the broken glass on the ground. The water. Sister. You. Ning Shi slightly raised the corner of her mouth. Before Ning Shua could speak, she directly interrupted her. Okay, I know you want to say that I drugged you. It's a pity that I don't have a surveillance camera here. Otherwise, the evidence will be more conclusive. But this glass is not worth much. You can take it. Hearing Ning Shi's obvious sarcasm, Ning Shui Luo's body stiffened for a moment, but it quickly turned into a pained expression. Sister, I came to find you today because I wanted to end things with you, no matter what you want me to do. I just hope that you don't hurt innocent people. Why are you still so stubborn? The child in my stomach is Big Brother Yan's child. The child is innocent. Mother's child is already gone. Isn't that enough? Why? Shui Luo. Su Yin hurriedly carried the unconscious Ning Shui Luo and looked back at Ning Shi with a complicated expression. Then he quickly rushed out. Su Yin carried Ning Shu all the way through the staff area and the main hall. As expected, it caused another round of surprise discussions. In the office, Ning Shi stared at the direction in which Su Yin left. No one knew what she was thinking. Dear Town, Flower House. After returning home after work, Ning Shi immediately made 2 phone calls. Soon, both sides replied. In the first call, Shi Xiao confirmed for her that Zhuang Lingyu's child was indeed gone, and it was deliberately hit by a car. It seemed that the blame was put on her again, but the other party definitely didn't have any evidence. Otherwise, Zhuang Lingyu would have sent her to prison. Ning Shua wouldn't have deliberately come to the company to put on such a show and didn't hesitate to use such an extreme method as killing her own child to frame her. Chapter 2081. The second call was a long-distance call. As she expected, Jason said that after he failed last time, Ning Shua never contacted him again. Otherwise, Solomon would definitely contact her if there was any news from Ning Shua. However, there was no news from him during this period of time. Ning Shi sat on the sofa and thought for a while. She made a third call and asked Tang Lang to help her investigate something. 10 minutes later, Tang Lang called her back. No one in the underworld took Zhuang Lingyu's job. There was no doubt that the murderer who hit Zhuang Lingyu's child must have something to do with Ning Shua. As long as she found this person and proved that he was ordered by Ning Shua, then everything would be revealed. But now, this person seemed to not exist at all. He did not leave any clues. Ning Shua did not use her connections with Solomon, nor did she hire someone to kill him. Now, everyone knew that Ning Shua entered her company. She was fine when she entered, but when she came out, the child was gone. Moreover, Su Yan was there to testify. No wonder Ning Shuo made such a big fuss this time. She even used such a high profile and such a simple and violent way to frame her. It seemed that she came prepared. If she strangled her to death, she would definitely not be able to get away with the crime this time. Ning Shi's fingers slowly tapped on the glass coffee table under her palm, thinking carefully. The next day, Ning Shi seemed not to be affected by this matter at all. She was quite interested in a competition with a famous racer in the circle. In the afternoon, she made an appointment with director Martin, the screenwriter, and the special effects artist to talk about the shooting of the second film. When she returned home in the evening, her personal phone rang urgently. TSK, it was faster than she thought. She could not wait. The call was from Grandpa himself. Hello, Grandpa. Xiaoxi, you? Anyway, come to the hospital now. Got it, Grandpa. I'll be there in a minute. Ning Shuo naturally had to ask Grandpa to make a decision on such a big matter. Not only would she ask Grandpa, but the whole family would also be invited to testify. Ning Shi changed her clothes and then drove alone to the First People's Hospital of the capital. Just as she had expected, everyone was present in the spacious ward. The Ning family, the Su family, Grandpa, and even Ning Qiudong had rushed back from abroad. Ning Shuo's face was pale, and she was lying on the bed in despair. Zhuang Lingyu was sitting on the wheelchair beside the bed, and her face was full of heartache. Ning Yaohua was standing beside her with a gloomy expression, and Su Yan's family was sitting on the sofa opposite them. Everyone's expression was unusually solemn. In addition to these people, there was also a room full of relatives from the Ning family and the Su family who came to visit Ning Shuo. At this moment, they were all comforting Ning Shuo. Shualuo, don't be sad. The old man will definitely help you. Shualuo, you are the eldest daughter-in-law of our Su family. The child in your stomach is the eldest grandson of the Su family. Do you think that our Su family is easy to bully? Exactly. If there's no explanation for this, there's absolutely no end to this. The old man sat by the window with the help of his walking stick, his face full of exhaustion. The Ning family suddenly lost 2 children, and the old man was probably the one who suffered the biggest blow. It was a matter of great importance, and there was a room full of people. Needless to say, these people were probably secretly called by Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Shuo to testify. Ning Shi understood that in this case, even Grandpa could not speak for her. Chapter 2082. When Ning Shi appeared at the door of the ward, all the eyes in the room fell on her and stared at her. Xiaoxi, come here. Only Ning Qiudong looked relaxed and at ease. The moment she saw Ning Shi, she greeted her warmly. Seeing Ning Qiudong, Ning Shi frowned slightly. She greeted her grandfather and then walked towards Ning Qiudong. Aunt. Ning Qiudong looked at her with concern and was relieved after a while. Not bad, you put on some weight. You finally have some flesh on your face. Ning Yaohua was so angry that his face twisted when he saw Ning Shi chatting with Ning Qiudong as if nothing had happened. Bastard, hurry up and kneel before me. Ning Yaohua looked at her with disgust, as if he was looking at trash. Ning Shi sneered and said casually, I kneel to heaven, to earth, and to my parents. Chairman Ning, why do you want me to kneel down? Ning Yaohua stopped breathing. You inhumane bastard. You're still trying to flatter me now. Some of the Ning family's relatives whispered to each other in disgust. What is this girl talking about? Isn't he her father? How could she say such disgraceful words? Isn't she afraid of being struck by lightning? Zhuang Lingyu wanted to pounce on Ning Shi and kill her the moment she saw her. She screamed with a ferocious face. Ning Shi, you're such a vicious bastard. You didn't even spare the children. I should have strangled you when I gave birth to you. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been greedy for my parents' warmth. I'll give it back to you. I'll give it back to you. Can you give my child back to me? Give my child back to me. Ning Shuo was crying so hard that she was in a trance. Shuo, my poor daughter. It's not your fault. I didn't protect you. I shouldn't have brought this bastard back. Seeing the miserable look of the mother and daughter, The people next to them looked at Ning Shi with even more disdain. What a sin. 2 children were killed in one go. She's so beautiful, but she's so vicious. Quiet, all of you. The old man stomped his walking stick hard. The noise in the ward finally quieted down a little. Xiaoxi, tell me what's going on? Grandpa Sheng asked in a deep voice. Ning Yaohua said angrily, Dad, why are you still asking her at this time? She first hired a killer to kill Ling Yu's child. Shueluo impulsively went to expose her. She was so angry that she poisoned Shueluo's water, wanted to kill Shueluo's child as well. This bastard probably wanted to kill Shueluo as well. The doctor had said that it was an extremely strong abortion drug and had even added 3 times the usual amount. Shueluo's life was saved because of her luck. She's inhumane. As Ning Yaohua said every word in the ward, pairs of eyes fell on Ning Shi like wolves and tigers. Seeing that Ning Shi had become the target of public criticism, Ning Shuo leaned weakly in Su Yan's arms. She raised the corners of her mouth strangely, looked at Ning Shi's eyes unscrupulously, and sneered crazily in her heart. Oh, Ning Shi, quibble. Explain. A final struggle before death. Chapter 2083. Say that I drug her and that I wanted to harm my own child. Say it out loud and see who in this room would believe you. Who would believe that I would drug my own child and kill my own child? Ning Qiudong frowned and was about to speak, but Ning Shi held her hand. Ning Shi's gaze swept over everyone calmly, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a cold smile. So what if I did it? Even if I poison her to death, what can you do to me, let alone the child? The moment Ning Shi finished speaking, the expressions of everyone in the room changed. Su Yan, who had been enduring with a complex expression, was full of shock and disbelief. Xiaoxi, you really did it. Although the truth was in front of him, he still couldn't accept it after hearing Ning Shi admit it. Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yaohua were like wild beasts who saw blood, tearing at her crazily. You beast! Beast! What sin did our Ning family commit? How could there be such a vicious bastard? You didn't even spare your own brother. Oh my God! How dare she admit it? What else can she do? The evidence is conclusive. She can't escape. She didn't show any remorse after doing such a thing. Her attitude is so arrogant. She's too much. At this time, not only Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yaohua, but Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang's faces also became extremely ugly. Zheng Minjun rushed out and started scolding. You vicious woman! Even if you like our Su Yan and want to marry into the Su family, you can't kill Su Yan's child. This is Su Yan's flesh and blood. How can you be so vicious? Now you only did it to the child. If he really marries into our Su family in the future, if I don't like him, you'll harm me too? Su Hongguang didn't expect that as a descendant of the Zhuang family, Ning Shi's character would be so bad. This wasn't a small matter of jealousy. This was murder. After killing someone, she still had a calm expression without any guilt. How scary was this woman? Zhuang Lingyu clutched her chest that was aching with anger. You're worse than a beast. You're so despicable. Not even 1/10,000th of Shueluo. You even had the wishful thinking to marry into the Su family and steal Shueluo's husband. Look at what you are. Are you worthy? Su Hongguang said gravely. I'm sorry, Yaohua. Although Ning Shi is your biological daughter, this is a matter of life and death. I'm afraid we can't let it go so easily. Zheng Minjun immediately screamed in excitement. She killed my grandson. Of course I have to call the police. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Oh, call the police? Seeing Ning Shi's fearless appearance, Ning Yaohua was exasperated. Bastard! I don't care who's behind you or who's supporting you. If this matter is not resolved, don't even think about going anywhere. At first, he had some scruples about the Zhuang family. But when he thought of the Zhuang family's strict rules, if the Zhuang family knew what Ning Shi had done, she would be the first to be punished. Zhuang Lingyu sneered. You're so fearless because you have a rich backer behind you. Even Zhuang Lingyu, Ning Shi's biological mother, said so. The others in the room looked at Ning Shi with even more strange expressions. Rumor has it that she has a sugar daddy. So it's true. This kind of person actually wants to marry our Su Yan. What a joke. Little celebrities nowadays really don't have any self-awareness. They're all sharpening their brains and racking their brains just to marry into a rich family. They dare to use any dirty methods. They don't even know what kind of trash they are. Chapter 2084. Hearing the sarcasm of the Su family's relatives, Ning Yaohua's face turned pale. He just hoped that this dirty stain would disappear from the world forever. He was a little hesitant at first, thinking that he couldn't wash his dirty linen in public. If it got out, he would lose face. But at this moment, he had made up his mind to send Ning Shi to jail and remove this evil creature from everyone's sight. Otherwise, he didn't know how many shameful things would happen in the future. Seeing that Ningxi was doomed this time, Zheng Minjun was furious because her grandson was killed, so she immediately shed all pretenses of cordiality. Ningxi, don't be delusional. As long as I'm alive, you can never marry Su Yin in this life. Hearing those words, Ning Qiutong was about to explode. If Ningxi hadn't held her down, she would have gone berserk. She knew that Su Yin was Ningxi's biggest wound. Initially, she was worried about Ningxi, but she saw that Ningxi was smiling instead of getting angry. She lowered her eyes and slightly curved the corners of her lips. That smile set off the girl's exquisite little face, and it was extremely stunning. She lowered her eyes and chuckled. Then she raised her eyes and looked at Zheng Minjun. Sorry, I have high standards. I'm afraid your son is not worthy of my attention. Besides, I got married 2 years ago, and I have no interest in bigamy. Mrs. Su, you're overthinking it. You, how dare you? Zheng Minjun was furious. How dare this bitch say that she had high standards and look down on Su Yan? As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly noticed the second half of Ningxi's words and froze. What did you say? You're married? Su Yan's expression instantly changed when he heard Ningxi's last sentence. She was married? And she got married 2 years ago. Su Yan had no time to think and blurted out, Cici, what do you mean? You're married? How is that possible? Ningxi glanced at Su Yan indifferently. What? Do I need to report to you about my marriage? The others in the room didn't seem to expect this result either. They all looked at each other in surprise and disgust. No way. Ningxi was already married? I've never heard of it. Nonsense. They were in the entertainment industry, so this kind of thing had to be kept secret. After getting married, it was worthless. Besides, we don't even know which old man she's married yet. Would she have the face to announce it? This girl is so fearless. Don't tell me she's relying on her husband? TSK, she's just an actress. Besides, she wasn't that popular 2 years ago. How could she marry into a good family? At most, he's just a nouveau riche. Hearing that she was married, Ning Shuo was surprised, but she soon regained her sarcasm. A married bitch could never compete with her for Su Yan. Ning Yaohua's face was also full of contempt and disdain. Ningxi, let me tell you. I don't care what kind of trash you married or what kind of backing you have. Even if the heavenly king were to come today, it would be useless. Just at this moment, a series of steady and powerful footsteps sounded from afar. Almost at the moment when Ning Yaohua's roar stopped, the door of the ward was pushed open by a slender finger. The person who came was tall and had a frosty face. His body was wrapped in the extremely cold pressure of a world of ice and snow. His cold eyes swept across everyone in the ward. His low, hoarse, and cold voice hovered in everyone's ears. Really? End of 8 p.m., husband and wife abuse each other. Chapter 2085. The man was dressed in a tailored silver gray custom-made suit with a meticulous white shirt exposed at the collar. The obsidian cufflinks on the cuffs exuded a cold luster. Originally, this suite was spacious enough to accommodate so many relatives and friends, but the moment the man stepped in, the whole space suddenly became cramped, and the overwhelming pressure of a superior shrouded the room. The moment he saw the man, Ning Yaohua's arrogant expression froze as if petrified, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Lu, because he was too shocked, Lu couldn't say the next word for a long time. In the ward, the relatives of the two families who were pointing at Ning Shi and mocking him just now became silent, as if someone had pinched their throats. They stared in disbelief at the man who only lived in legends and gossip after meals. The man who was so high up that even they who were rich and noble might not have a chance to meet in their lives, had actually appeared in front of them alive and well. In the early years, they didn't even know what this man looked like. It wasn't until the past 2 years, when Lu Tingxiao appeared in the public eye several times, that he was exposed. He was stuck on the bedside by the daughters of the capital's boudoirs and was crowned with the title of the nation's husband. His popularity crushed all the male idols. Moreover, the man's real body was thousands of times more handsome than those blurry photos and videos. Especially the aura around him. It was so intimidating that it made one's heart numb. At this moment, he was wearing a large black trench coat outside his suit, looking travel-worn. Behind him was a man who looked like a cold assistant, and outside the ward, there were 2 rows of fully armed bodyguards. A murderous aura quickly spread in the air. Oh my God, it's Lu Tingxiao. Am I dreaming? Someone finally snapped out of his daze after an unknown amount of time. Everyone else also reacted. Quick, pinch me, quick. Oh, so handsome. Much more handsome than in the photos. I'm going crazy. What the hell is going on? Why is Lu Tingxiao here? Not only those people, but Ning Shi was also quite surprised. She didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to suddenly appear, and in such a high-profile way. Aren't you coming back the day after tomorrow? Ning Shi subconsciously blurted out. Lu Tingxiao's gaze, which could almost freeze a person, fell on the girl's body. It was as if the first snow in spring had melted. He didn't reply, but stared at the girl with a frown. He took off his windbreaker and strode over to the girl. First, he touched the girl's little hand. Then he draped his jacket over her thin shoulders. His low, hoarse voice sounded slightly displeased. Didn't I say that the temperature has dropped recently? Ning Shi looked down at her ankle-length woolen skirt. I've worn too much. Lu Tingxiao squeezed the girl's fingers. Your hands are cold. Ning Shi. All right, there was a kind of coldness that made her sweetheart feel that she was cold. At this moment, everyone in the ward was shocked. Hold hands. Lu Tingxiao even personally helped Ning Shi put on his coat, and his words were so affectionate that it could melt people's hearts. Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi? He was about to go crazy. What was going on? However, what happened next shocked them even more. Chapter 2086. Lu Tingxiao took Ning Shi's hand and ignored all the stunned gazes in the room. He walked through the crowd that automatically separated into 2 rows and walked up to Grandpa Ning. Then he called out, Grandpa. Grandpa. What did Lu Tingxiao just call Grandpa Ning? Looking at his grandson-in-law, Grandpa Ning nodded with relief. You're back. Sit down. Ning Yaohua finally couldn't stand it anymore and rushed up to Ning Ziyuan. Dad, what's going on? You know Mr. Lu? Grandpa Ning looked at his son and the other relatives who looked as if they had seen a ghost. Don't make such a fuss. How can I not know my grandson-in-law? Grandson-in-law? Everyone in the room was almost numb from the shock. Cici did get married to Tingxiao 2 years ago. How is that possible? Ning Yaohua was completely dumbfounded. When Cici just came back to China, the two had already started dating. Then they got married, but because of Cici's career, they didn't make it public. Grandpa Ning said matter-of-factly. But, Dad, it's such a big deal. Why didn't you tell me? Ning Yaohua almost collapsed. Why should I tell you? Grandpa Ning asked. Ning Yaohua almost suffocated. Hearing the conversation between Ning Ziyuan and Ning Yaohua, everyone in the ward was stunned. My God, Ning Shi's husband is Lu Tingxiao. Really? Lu Tingxiao called Grandpa Ning. Of course it's true. The girlfriend that Lu Tingxiao revealed to the public is Ning Shi. At this point, everyone looked at each other in dismay. The Ning family's relatives looked at the Su family with a strange gaze. Ning, she was married long ago to the Lu family. How could she covet Su Yan? At this moment, a man who seemed to have his own light effect walked in with a smile and said leisurely, TSK, my sister-in-law just said that she has very high standards. The man was Lu Tingxiao's younger brother, Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli was an unusually high-profile guy, and he used to be in the entertainment industry, so everyone knew his face. When everyone heard Lu Jingli's words, their faces turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Please, his foresight was more than just high. I'm about to ascend to the heavens, all right? They had thought that Ning, she was just boasting. Who knew that? She was clearly being modest. At this moment, the people with the ugliest expressions were probably the relatives of the Su family. After all, it was they who had just mocked Ning Shi for trying to get into the Su family by any means possible. Especially Zheng Minjun. At this moment, her face turned red as if she had been slapped hard in the face, and she couldn't say a word. Lu Jingli smiled like a flower. He first ran to greet the old man, then went to Ning Qiutong's side and said sweetly, "You must be the beautiful aunt that my sister-in-law often talks about." "Hello, auntie. I am Lu Jingli." Ning Qiutong was very happy. "Hello. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoxi." She knew something about Xiaoxi and had told her many times to take a good look at her, but she really didn't expect that Xiaoxi's man was Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 2087. In the corner, Su Yin stared blankly at the scene in front of him. From the moment Lu Tingxiao walked up to Ning Shi and took her hand, his mind went blank. He stared at the perfect couple and completely lost the ability to think. As for Ning Shuo, who was lying on the sickbed, she was gloomy and silent. Looking at Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi holding hands intimately, looking at the ring on Ning Shi's neck that she had never noticed before, looking at Lu Tingxiao politely chatting with Grandpa Luo, looking at Lu Jingli and Ning Qiutong talking happily. The poison called jealousy crazily corroded her internal organs. How could it be? How could it be? The man Ning Shi married was Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao, young Master Lu, I'm Ning Yaohua, Cici's father. We met last time when you came to the Lu family to pick up Cici. Ning Yaohua felt that Lu Jingli was easy to talk to, so he hurriedly tried to get close to him. Damn it. No wonder Lu Jingli came to pick up Ning Shi at his birthday party last time. At that time, he had always suspected that Ning Shi had something to do with Lu Jingli, but he had never expected that it was not Lu Jingli, but Lu Tingxiao. Now he was so regretful that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Ning Qiutong looked at Ning Yaohua and sneered. Humph, you always treat that ungrateful wretch as a clown. Seeing that she married into the Su family, you feel that she has married into a good family and want to show off all day long. Now you regret it when you see that Cici has married into a good family? Ning Yaohua's face turned pale. Why should I regret it? I'm happy for Cici that she has married into a good family. Ning Qiutong laughed out loud. Who was the one who threatened to call the police just now and said that even God couldn't save her. At this time, Zhuang Lingyu finally couldn't bear it anymore. She has done such a vicious thing. Is it wrong for us to do so? Then she looked at Lu Tingxiao and said, President Lu, no matter how powerful the Lu family is, you can't ignore the law. It's a fact that Ning, she has killed 2 people. At this time, Ning Shuo on the sickbed clutched her stomach and groaned in pain. Everyone's attention was immediately diverted, and they surrounded Ning Shuo. Shuoluo, what happened to you? My stomach hurts. Ning Shuoluo's face was pale. She was on the verge of death. She looked like a withered flower. You've been poisoned too deeply. The doctor said it would be a little painful. Bear with it. Sigh, what a sin. Seeing Ning Shuo like this, people in the ward looked at Ning Shi in a different light. Ning Shi was living a good life now, but Ning Shuo was hurt like this. Now she was bullying others just because she married Lu Tingxiao. That was too much. Zhuang Lingyu walked quickly to the bed, her face full of anxiety and heartache. At this moment, Zheng Minjun took the opportunity to say, Boss Lu, I'm afraid you don't know yet. This woman is very vicious. Because of a small conflict, not only did she kill her biological mother's child, but she also poisoned the flesh and blood of the Su family. How could such a person be fit to marry into the Lu family? You're simply tarnishing the family's prestige. Ning Shualuo's face was filled with panic and despair, but her hidden eyes were staring at Ning, she with incomparable resentment. Great. Just nice. Ning Shi. This time, I'll make you lose everything and let you taste the feeling of falling from heaven to hell. Lu Tingxiao didn't even look at those who kept stirring up trouble. He lowered his eyes and focused on his little wife next to him. Yes, you're right. You don't deserve her. Zheng Minjun cheered up and thought that Lu Tingxiao had taken her words seriously. But the next second, Lu Tingxiao continued to say, the Lu family and I don't deserve Xiaoxi. Everyone, they were all speechless. Lu Jingli, he knew it. Chapter 2088. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's attitude, Ning Shuiluo's face suddenly changed. She clenched her fists tightly. The next second, when she raised her head, she was full of grief and indignation. Boss Lu, I understand that you are close to my sister, and you will naturally side with her. But I really hope that you could take a good look at the people around you. Maybe she is not what you think at all. I'll let my sister down first. No matter what she does to me, I will accept it. But what about my mother? What did my mother do wrong? I will never allow anyone to hurt my family, not even my sister. Boss Lu, if you don't believe us, you can ask the police to find out the truth. When you know the whole truth, I believe you'll make a fair judgment. Oh, Ningxi, you have killed 2 people. I'd like to see if you can still keep your position as the First Lady. Ning Shuiluo's words made everyone nod secretly. At the same time, they also sighed at Ning Shuiluo's filial piety. Lu Jingli rubbed his chin and clicked his tongue. It was a little eye-opening. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such a shameless person. No wonder he could coax these 2 idiots from the Ning family, even though they weren't related by blood. The most shameless people were invincible. And sister-in-law's matter this time might be a little tricky. Ning, she raised her eyes and looked at the man next to her. Next, it's my battlefield. The man understood what she meant at a glance and nodded slightly. In the face of everyone's opprobrium, Ning she seemed to be in her own back garden. She looked calm and composed. She glanced at Ning Shuo, who was indignantly seeking justice for her mother on the sickbed. She said unhurriedly, I happen to have something here that I want to give to the police. Hearing Ning Shi's words, Ning Shuo narrowed her eyes, but soon recovered her calmness. Sister, if you have something to say, you can say it directly. I think everyone wants to hear your explanation. Oh, explanation? In this case, no matter what she explained, it would only make things worse. I just found something interesting. Ning she curled her lips with a faint smile and looked a little surprised. I didn't expect that Miss Ning, who has always been a lady, would like to play with such exciting things as motorcycles. When Ning Shuiluo heard this, her eyes suddenly tensed up. Ning she continued, not long ago, I met a famous retired racer. When I was chatting with him, I accidentally heard him mention that Miss Ning had learned motorcycles from him for a long time. When Ning Shuo heard this, it was as if she had been reminded of something sad. She stroked her flat stomach with a sad face. Pregnant people, whether it's their taste or preferences, will be very strange, and even they can't explain the changes. At that time, I was bored at home and suddenly saw on TV that riding a motorcycle was very cool, so I casually went to learn about it. I don't know why sister suddenly mentioned this. Ning she smiled lightly. I see. Regarding Ning Shuiluo's explanation, some of the pregnant ladies around nodded in agreement. At the same time, they did not understand why Ning she suddenly changed the topic to something completely unrelated. Seeing her daughter's sad look, Zhuang Lingyu frowned and glared at Ning Shi unhappily. Ning Shi, don't change the subject and stall for time. Chapter 2089. Ning Shi gently touched the phone in her hand. I'm just a little curious. I didn't expect pregnant people to have such strange hobbies. A gentle and virtuous girl like Miss Ning suddenly likes motorcycles. She even rides a motorbike alone in the middle of the night when she is pregnant. Ning Shuiluo's calm face finally cracked. Her face twitched violently, but only for a moment. She recovered her perfect sad and angry expression. Sister, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just curious, so I asked a professional to see it. How could I ride a motorbike alone and go out in the middle of the night? Ning Shuo sneered in her heart. Oh, Ning Shi, you want to blow me up? Aren't you thinking too much of me? Seeing that Ning Shi was getting more and more outrageous, Zhuang Lingyu's face darkened. Ning Shi, what on earth do you want to say by talking so much nonsense here? Even if Shuo rides a motorbike at night, it's not your business. Ning Shi shrugged and said casually, of course it's not my business. After all, it's not my baby that she hit. The moment Ning Shi's voice fell, the whispers in the room suddenly fell into a dead silence, and Zhuang Lingyu's expression completely froze. Sweetheart, please turn off the light for me. Lu Tingxiao stretched out his long hand, and the room suddenly became dark. The next second, Ning Shi gently tapped on the phone in her hand, and a video was suddenly projected on the wide white wall behind them. There was no sound in this video. It was probably at night, so the light was very blurred. The video was still for 3 seconds, and then a black motorbike appeared on the projection. The moment she saw the motorbike, Zhuang Lingyu's pupils suddenly shrank. That car is the car that hit me, is the car that hit me. Although it only happened for a moment when she was hit, she would never forget the appearance of that car. After hearing Zhuang Lingyu's words, everyone was in an uproar and immediately stared at the wall. The scene in the video seemed to be a deserted junkyard. After the owner of the motorcycle got off the motorcycle, he first took off all the clothes he was wearing, including his gloves and helmet. Then he pushed the motorcycle to the ground, picked up the gasoline beside it, lit the lighter in his hand, and threw it at the motorcycle. Bang! Everything disappeared into the flames. At the same time, the rising flames illuminated the face of the owner of the motorcycle. It wasn't a man, but a woman with a delicate appearance. That was Ning Shueluo. The moment they saw the face clearly, everyone at the ward door was stunned. Everyone looked at Ning Shueluo in disbelief. Zhuang Lingyu's mouth was wide open as she stared at the screen. What is going on? How can this person be Shueluo? But that face is definitely Ning Shueluo's. When the fire was lit just now, he could see it clearly. After she took off her outer clothes, I could see her stomach. Impossible. It's impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The moment the familiar scene appeared on the wall, Ning Shueluo's expression changed. In just a few seconds of the video, she felt as if she had walked through hell. When her face was illuminated by the fire, the moment it appeared in front of everyone, she was almost scared out of her wits. Chapter 2090. Ning Shueluo's breathing was like a ball of fire. Her voice was hoarse as she said anxiously, "It's fake. This video is fake. Ning Shi, why did you do this to slander me? Why would I harm my mother's child?" Ning Shi didn't refute her at all. She nodded and said, "Yes, I forged this video. Not only is it fake, but I also forged your fingerprints and blood sample. Miss Ning, do you want to see it?" Ning Shueluo's face went blank. Fingerprints and blood sample. If there were fingerprints and blood sample, she would definitely not be able to explain herself. But that was absolutely impossible. She had destroyed all the traces. Where did she get them? But she had even gotten the surveillance cameras. And she had confirmed that there was absolutely no surveillance cameras in that place. What had gone wrong? Lu Tingxiao. Could it be that Lu Tingxiao had helped her? "Sweetheart, give it to me." Ning Shi turned her head and said softly to Lu Tingxiao. Then she looked condescendingly at the woman on the bed, who was obviously breaking down bit by bit. Her eyes were full of mockery. Lu Tingxiao nodded and handed her a brown file bag. Ning Shueluo's body trembled violently. In her eyes, the way Ning Shi looked at her was like that of a ghost demanding her life. She stared at the brown file bag in Ning Shi's hand, and her breathing became more and more rapid. Indeed, it was Lu Tingxiao. Just as Ning Shi took the file out of the bag, Ning Shuo looked at Ning Shi's contemptuous expression and then at Lu Tingxiao's cold eyes. Finally, the last trace of hope in her heart was gone. She closed her eyes and screamed shrilly, "It's me. I hit her. I hit the child. and killed her. So what if I did it? Her voice was sharp and ear-piercing, making one's eardrums uncomfortable. The entire ward was dead silent. Only Ning Shiwilua's ferocious roars could be heard. Her hair was disheveled like a ghost. Zhuang Lingyu's lips trembled and her eyes rolled back. Ning Yaohua hurriedly supported her and pressed down on her philtrum. Only then did she slowly wake up. With a pale face and trembling voice, she said, "Shui Luo, what are you saying? Don't scare Mom. You were talking nonsense just now, right?" Ning Shiwilua's laughter was exceptionally horrifying. "Ha! Ha ha! Mother! Madame Zhuang, when did you become my mother? Aren't you the mother of the son in your belly?" Zhuang Lingyu had never seen such a strange and terrifying expression on Ning Shiwilua's face. She said agitatedly, "Shiwa, what are you talking about? Of course I'm your mother. You're telling me you didn't do this. It's not about whether you did the right thing or not." At this moment, the gentleness on Ning Shiwilua's face had completely disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by coldness and hatred. It was the madness of a desperate person who had no way out. "It's me. Of course I did it. Because I hate you. I hate everyone in the Ning family. I'm the young mistress of the Ning family. I was born the young mistress of the Ning family. Everything in the Ning family is mine. Why did you bring back that pheasant, Ning Shi? That pheasant finally left, and you guys actually made a son to fight with me for the family property. The child hasn't even been born yet, and you guys can't wait to seize the power in my hands. Why? If it wasn't for me dealing with Su Yin, would your Ning family be where it is today? Now that you have a son, you want to kick me away. Aren't the two of you planning too well? Do you really think I'm an idiot?" Chapter 2091. Zhuang Lingyu was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe it. Ning Yaohua was also completely stunned. He couldn't believe that the girl in front of him was Ning Shiwa, the obedient, innocent, and kind daughter in their eyes. He couldn't believe that she had been thinking like this all the time. Oh, God! No one had expected such a shocking turn of events. They were all dumbfounded. Zhuang Lingyu's baby was not killed by Ning Shi, but by the filial and considerate Ning Shiwa. Not only that, she drove the car to hit her mother, who had raised her for decades and loved her as her own daughter. Obviously, she was just the daughter of a village woman. Because she had been mistakenly carried away, she had been able to enjoy so many years of glory and wealth. None of this was hers. Without the Ning family, she was just a village girl in a ravine. But she actually took all of the Ning family's kindness for granted. She even thought that everything in the Ning family should be hers. Just because Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant with a son and might compete with her for the family property, she didn't hesitate to hit Zhuang Lingyu's baby to death. What was more frightening was that she had been acting like a victim from the beginning to the end and had pushed everything on in Ning Shi. At the thought of this, everyone felt a bone-piercing chill. This woman had deceived everyone. How scheming was she? It was terrible. Ning Yaohua was shocked. He was almost speechless by Ning Shiwilua's absurd logic. "Bastard! The Ning family has raised you for more than 20 years. They don't ask you to be grateful. How can you be so selfish and vicious?" Ning Shiwilua chuckled as if she had heard a funny joke. "Haha, grateful? What do I have to be grateful for? I earned everything I have today with my own ability. And Ning Shi, what does she have? She just has the blood of the Ning family in her. Why did she do nothing? Why did this old man give her 10% of the shares while I didn't get any?" Ning Yaohua roared. "But I have given you all my shares. You already have 20% of the shares. Are you still not satisfied?" Ning Shiwilua's face was full of mockery. "Chairman Ning, don't make it sound so nice. Didn't you give me the shares so that you can unite with the Su family through marriage? Do you dare to say that these shares will still belong to me after you have a son? So you can kill your mother's child?" Ning Yaohua's eyes widened in anger. There was no hint of remorse in Ning Shiwilua's eyes. "Since you're heartless, don't blame me for being cruel. This child, you deserve to die." Ning Shi stood by the side, crossing her arms as she quietly watched the family of three fall out with each other. It was only at this moment that she interrupted. "I'm really sorry to interrupt you all. May I ask, Miss Ning, this person was actually really hit by you?" Ning Xuelua glared at Ning Shi. Ning Shi, stop putting on an act. Ning Shi said innocently, but I fabricated the video. There was no surveillance camera at the section where you destroyed the body. Don't you know that? I got the special effects artist from the production team of Thunderbolt to help me create this video. It's very crude. I didn't expect you to believe it. Oh, right, there are also fingerprints and blood samples. Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao next to her. Lu Tingxiao opened the brown file and took out a stack of photos of the wedding hall instead of the evidence. Chapter 2092. Ning Shi, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Ning Shuo was stunned for a second, and then she went crazy. She was not even this excited when she saw the evidence just now, but now she seemed to have gone crazy. Ever since Solomon failed repeatedly, she no longer trusted anyone. She was also worried about hiring assassins in the country. If they betrayed her and were bribed by Ning Shi, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, she chose to do it herself this time. After all, it was her first time doing something like this. She was still a little flustered. When she went to get rid of the clothes and the car, she was already flustered. How could she remember the details at that time? Ning Shi's special effects simulation was very realistic. When she saw the familiar scene, she subconsciously believed it. As for the fingerprints and blood sample, if Ning Shi had taken them out herself, she would definitely be suspicious. However, it was Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao had personally handed them to Ning Shi. With Lu Tingxiao's power, even if it was impossible, it was completely possible. Therefore, she believed it almost immediately. She did not expect that. She had fallen into Ning Shi's trap from the beginning to the end. Ning Shi had been lying to her from the beginning to the end. The surveillance was fake, and so were the fingerprints and blood sample. This bitch. Ning Shi looked at Ning Shuo, who was screaming nonstop, with a helpless expression. I told you that it was fake, but you didn't believe me. Lu Jingli looked at Ning Shuo, who was almost going crazy with anger. He was amazed. That was too cruel. What a show. A series of reversals. It was like a blockbuster. At the same time, he didn't forget to abuse the dogs. Those wedding church photos were enough. However, all of this was not over yet. However, although those were fake, there is one thing that is real. Ning, she said as she tapped on her phone with her finger. An A4 paper was projected on the wall. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a paternity test report. The report showed that the child in Ning Shuilua's stomach was not related to Su Yan by blood at all. This is the paternity test report. It seems to be the paternity test report between Shuilua's child and Su Yan. Oh my God, Shuilua's child is not Su Yan's? In that instant, there was an uproar in the ward. Ning Shi's gaze slowly fell on Ning Shui. As the saying goes, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. What's more, I think Miss Ning is also very clear about how important this child is to you. So, I've always wondered why you did not hesitate to kill your own child to frame me. Ning Shi paused and continued. I've thought about it, and I can only think of one possibility. That is, we can't keep this child. So what is the reason that this child cannot be kept? This is worth pondering. Miss Ning, don't you think so? Although it was only a short 2 days, she had done a lot of things. He sent someone to check the surveillance cameras at the section of the road where Zhuang Lingyu was hit, tracked the direction of the motorcycle, and investigated Ning Shuilua's whereabouts in the past few months. Then, she personally visited the racer and went to look for the special effects artist for Thunderbolt, asking for his help. In addition, he had someone secretly obtain Su Yan's hair and the blood sample of the stillborn fetus for identification. The results of the DNA test had only been sent to her mailbox half an hour ago. Everything was as she had expected. Ning Shuilua's child was not Su Yan's. Chapter 2093. Hearing Ning Shi's words, how could everyone not understand? The child in Ning Shuilua's belly isn't Su Yan's. No wonder. Otherwise, how could he do this to his own flesh and blood? If the child was born, she would be finished once it was discovered. She killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did she get rid of the child, but she also framed Ning Shi. Su Yin was actually going to divorce her. She didn't get divorced because of the child. Who knew that the child would turn out to be? Oh my God. This woman said that she loved Su Yin to death, but she came back with a bastard. Zhang Minjun, who was staring at the projection in shock, rushed to Ning Shi from the crowd and tried to snatch her phone. What did you say? The child in Xiaoluo's belly isn't Su Yan's. How is that possible? Ning Qiutong said impatiently. The child hasn't been cremated yet. If you don't believe me, you could do a DNA test yourself. Ning Xiaoluo's character had been completely exposed. Zhang Minjun didn't believe her. She was stunned and immediately attacked. Ning Xiaoluo. You indecent woman. I was wondering why you were so eager to cremate the child. You even said that it would allow the child to reincarnate into a good family as soon as possible. So it turns out that you were thinking of destroying the corpses. Her daughter-in-law had made her son a cuckold and was pregnant with a bastard. Zhang Minjun was about to go crazy with anger when this was exposed in front of so many people. Zhang Minjun, don't make it sound like the Su family is so noble. If it weren't for you too old far to urge Su Yin to divorce me and wanted him to marry Ning Shi so that he could curry favor with the Zhuang family, I wouldn't have been forced into this situation. Since they had already fallen out, Ning Xiaoluo retaliated. However, she was still physically weak after the miscarriage. Soon, Zhang Minjun scratched her face. Su Hongguang couldn't take it anymore. He pulled Zhang Minjun back and roared, "Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" He had lost enough of his face today. Zhang Minjun's face instantly darkened. I'm embarrassed. How am I embarrassed? The good daughter raised by Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu. She's vicious and dissolute. You've brought disaster to our Su family. If they lose face, it's the Ning family that loses face. You? Ning Yaohua was already furious. Now that he was ridiculed by Zhang Minjun, he almost fainted from anger. As for Zhuang Lingyu, she was already in a trance. She kept muttering, "Impossible, impossible." The two families quarreled fiercely, and the entire ward was in chaos. Ning Qiutong glanced at Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu pitifully. I've told you to take a good look at what you've been raising all these years. But you were blinded by lard and were fooled by this woman. Now you've reaped what you sow. It's a sin to harm an innocent child. Zhuang Lingyu was agitated when she heard the word child. She lunged at Ning Xiaoluo. You bitch! Bitch! Why do you have to harm me like this? Why do you have to harm me like this? Give me back my child. Give me back my son's life. Looking at the chaos, Lu Tingxiao frowned slightly. He reached out and gently pulled Ning Shi into his arms so that she could not see the dirty scenes. Ning Shi breathed in the cool air and the deep exhaustion in her heart dissipated. It was as if she had arrived at another peaceful and warm world. She said softly, "Sweetheart, let's go home." Lu Tingxiao said, "Okay, Xiao." Xiao Shi. Seeing Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao turn to leave together, Ning Yaohua subconsciously chased after them, as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he could not say a word. Chapter 2094. Zhuang Lingyu had planned to take this opportunity to seek justice for Ning Xiaoluo and then completely remove Ning Shi from the family. That was why she called so many relatives here. However, she didn't expect that the truth of the matter would make her fall apart. Now that things had become like this, those relatives and friends couldn't continue to stay here and watch the drama. They all found excuses to leave. Mr. Su was physically and mentally exhausted. He didn't want to care about his eldest son's grudge anymore. He walked away shakily with the help of his servants. Back then, he had already advised them and said all that he needed to say. All the choices were made by themselves. Now, however they wanted to resolve it, he just let them be. He really didn't have the energy to care about it anymore. For a moment, only Ning Yaohua, Zhuang Lingyu, Zhang Minjun, Su Hongguang, Su Yin, and Ning Xiaoluo were left in the ward. Zhang Minjun couldn't bear the fact that the son she was most proud of was cuckolded. The precious grandson she had been looking forward to turn out to be a bastard. After those people left, she didn't care anymore. She pointed at Ning Xiaoluo's nose and began to scold her. Our Su family is blind. How could we let Su Yin marry a fake bitch like you? I don't know which man you slept with outside. How dare you say you are Su Yan's? Divorce. Get out of the Su family now. And don't even think about taking away a needle or a thread of our Su family. Ning Xiaoluo couldn't help laughing. Haha, do you really think Ning Shi is so pure? She was knocked up by a man at the age of 18, and she said she is Su Yan's son. I'm much better than her. If Zheng Minjun hadn't been trying to persuade Su Yin to marry another woman after knowing the relationship between Ningxi and the Zhuang family at Mrs. Li's party, she wouldn't have slept with those disgusting fat rich businessmen in order to get investments and stabilize her position. If Su Yin hadn't been seduced by that bitch and didn't want to have a child with her, she wouldn't have taken the risk of keeping the bastard in her belly. It was all that bitch's fault. It was the Su family's fault. Zheng Minjun was stunned when she heard what Ning Xiaoluo said. What did you say? I say, Ning Shi, that bitch, fooled around with 2 male prostitutes when she was still with Su Yan. When she got pregnant, she said he was Su Yan's son. If it weren't for that car accident, she would have given birth to this bastard. After saying that, he looked in the direction of Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu with a face full of mockery, his face full of satisfaction from revenge. Ha ha! You don't believe me? If you don't believe me, you can ask Chairman Ning or Madam Ning. Aren't their own daughters even more shameless, slutty, and slutty? Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu's faces turned pale when Ning Xiaoluo revealed the Ning family's biggest scandal in front of the Su family. Back then, they had erased all traces of this incident, but they could not erase its existence. This matter was like a nightmare to them. At this moment, a man's trembling voice suddenly came from the corner of the ward. Enough! The smile on Ning Xiaoluo's face froze when she heard the voice. It's not Xiaoxi. What happened back then was not Xiaoxi's fault at all. Su Yin clenched his fists, his face full of embarrassment, and said with difficulty, Xiaoxi never betrayed me. She never fooled around with a man. She didn't. She was forced. She was framed. Chapter 2095. What did you say? Zhuang Lingyu, who had been in a trance, suddenly froze. Ning Yaohua's face also changed. Su Yin, what did you just say? Xiaoxi was set up? Ning Xiaoluo stared at Su Yin, who spoke up for Ning Shi. Her eyes were filled with overwhelming hatred. Su Yin, even you are against me now, aren't you? Ning Xiaoluo chuckled. She looked completely fearless. That's right. I was the one who set her up. I was the one who drugged that bitch's drink. I was the one who prepared 2 male prostitutes for her. So what? She's just a slut who got pregnant after being played by 2 male prostitutes, huh? Ning Xiaoluo, what did you say? I dare you to say it again. You drugged Xiaoxi. You sent someone to do that to her. Ning Yaohua couldn't believe his ears. At this moment, his body was trembling violently. Even when he knew that Ning Xiaoluo had killed Zhuang Lingyu's child, and that Ning Xiaoluo had an affair, he had never been so angry. His daughter did not go out on her own, but was raped. Ning Xiaoluo covered her stomach, which was aching from laughing too hard. Ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Ning Shi, that country bumpkin, can't even tell the difference between real and fake clothes. She obediently wears whatever I give her. I lied to her that the lemonade I used to wash her hands was for her to drink, but she stupidly drank it. That idiot. I'm afraid she doesn't even know what a male prostitute is. How could she give herself a male prostitute? Of course, the 2 of you are even more stupid. You actually believed her, haha. Ning Xiaoluo's words mixed with sharp and harsh laughter echoed in the silent ward. Zhuang Lingyu opened her mouth as if she was dumbfounded, but could not say a word. This was not true. None of this was true. What on earth had she raised all these years? What did she do to her own daughter for a beast? It was not Ning Shi who killed her 2 children, but Ning Xiaoluo. It was Ning Xiaoluo who killed her 2 children. She had harmed her son and her daughter. Ning Yaohua stared at this extremely unfamiliar woman in front of him, who was like a poisonous snake, and listened to everything she had done to his own flesh and blood. Every word she said was like a death by 1,000 cuts to his body. He charged at Su Yin furiously. Su Yin, speak. Tell me what's going on. You know everything, don't you? Su Yin lowered his head in pain. I'm sorry. It's my fault. While I was in poor health, I stayed in the countryside to recuperate. Cece and I had known each other when we were in the countryside. Before I met Shualuo, Cece and I had been dating. I betrayed Cece and did something to Shualuo. At that time, my heart was on Shualuo. When I found out what Shualuo had done to Xiaoxi, I thought she was young and muddle-headed. I thought she really regretted it, so I helped her keep this secret. I lied to Xiaoxi and said that it was me that night. Xiaoxi didn't keep the child on purpose. She did it because she thought the child was mine. She had been waiting for me to come back, to give her a status, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Xiaoxi. I ruined her life. After hearing all this, Ning Yaohua's body trembled violently and his eyes were scarlet. Bastards. You two bastards. How could they do this to his daughter? His own flesh and blood. In his mind, he recalled the time in the hospital, the girl's desperate explanation after the car accident and her miscarriage. He recalled how he scolded and scolded her. He recalled how he had heartlessly sent her abroad for 5 years and didn't care about her at all. Recalled the cold look in Xiaoxi's eyes every time she looked at him after returning home. Recalled the words, "Father, do you deserve it?" He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to be her father at all. He pushed his daughter into the abyss with his own hands. Chapter 2096. Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang didn't expect there to be such an inside story. Both of them felt a chill in their hearts. How vicious was this woman? How could she do such a heinous thing at such a young age? Oh my God, what kind of scourge did our Su family marry? Su Yin, how could you be so muddle-headed? How could you get together with such a woman? Zheng Minjun cried. Su Yin smiled bitterly. You were the ones who forced me to separate from Xiaoxi. You were also the ones who set me up with Shuai. Zheng Minjun couldn't say a word. There was no point in regretting now. In short, she had to get a divorce. She had to get a divorce. She couldn't stand this viper-like woman staying in the Su family for another second. Ning Yaohua's face was filled with rage. Bastard. I want you to die a horrible death. Ha ha. I want to see how Director Ning. You're an empty shell with no shares in the company. How are you going to make me die a horrible death? Ning Yaohua's pupils constricted, his eyes filled with malice. You. As soon as Ning Shuilua finished speaking, she looked at Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang with a strange smile. Oh, and you guys, you want me to divorce Su Yin? Well, I don't mind showing the judge something even more interesting during the trial. For example, evidence of Yi Feng Group's bribery? How dare you? Su Hongguang's expression changed. He never expected Ning Shuilua to have something like that. Zheng Minjun was completely dumbfounded, her face pale. I'm telling you, you want me to get a divorce? Not in this lifetime. Unless I die, the position of Mrs. Su can only be mine, Ning Shuilua's. The woman's fierce voice coiled around everyone in the room like a viper. All these years, the kind and innocent daughter they doted on, the smart and capable daughter-in-law they were so proud of, was a demon in human skin. Inside the black Maybach, Lu Jingli chattered excitedly the whole way. Sister-in-law, you're so awesome. You made my blood boil. Your acting was amazing. I was fooled by you. I thought all the evidence was real. Also, did you collude with my brother from the start? In the back seat, Ning Shi snuggled lazily in Lu Tingxiao's arms and raised her eyebrows. Do I need to collude with my sweetheart? We have a telepathic connection. Am I right, sweetheart? Lu Tingxiao's lips curved into a smile. Yes. Lu Jingli. Pretend I didn't ask. Ning Shi recalled what happened just now and analyzed. Actually, it was a psychological battle. With the special effects video and my acting skills, I was 70% sure that I could fool Ning Shuiluo. But when my sweetheart came, I knew that I would win. Ning Shuiluo did not believe that she had the ability to do so, but she definitely believed in Lu Tingxiao. Therefore, she would definitely be fooled. Tears welled up in Lu Jingli's eyes as he was stuffed with another mouthful of dog food. Sai, the Ning family and Ning Shuo are going to fight it out. After all, Ning Shuo still has a lot of shares in the Ning family. Lu Jingli said. Ning, she said indifferently. Do you think Ning Yaohua is a good person? Lu Jingli blinked. That's true. Ning Shuo was so arrogant before because she relied on the power of the Ning and Su families. Now that she has fallen out with both sides, she still naively thinks that she can make a comeback. Chapter 2097. In just a few days, the entire Ning Enterprises was in a precarious situation. Ning Shuo pushed aside the senior members of the company and cultivated her own power. She even publicly announced at the shareholders' meeting that she would remove Ning Yaohua from the position of chairman. However, what happened next was just as Ning she had expected. Ning Yaohua was not a kind person. Ning Yaohua valued his reputation and the reputation of the Ning family the most. No one expected him to be so cruel this time. He did not hesitate to go all out and expose the scandal of Ning Shuo deliberately killing Zhuang Lingyu's unborn child in front of the public. The shareholders' meeting overwhelmingly removed Ning Shuo from her position. According to the relevant regulations, the company had the right to forcefully recover her shares at the original price. At the same time, Ning Xiaotong was invited back as the new president of the company. After this incident, Ning Shuo was completely kicked out of the company, and the shares of Ning Enterprises also plummeted. In order to avoid prison, Ning Shuo made a deal with Ning Yaohua and was forced to give up all her shares without a penny. In other words, she was kicked out of the company without a penny. After the shareholders' meeting, Ning Shuo hurriedly left the building of Ning Enterprises. It took her a lot of effort to avoid the hungry media and return to the Su family. In the living room, Zheng Minjun was watching TV. The TV was broadcasting the news that Ning Shuo had killed her pregnant adoptive mother and her unborn child in order to seize power and was kicked out of the board of directors of Ning Enterprises. Zheng Minjun heard the footsteps at the door and looked at Ning Shuo, who looked like a stray dog. She suddenly sneered and gloated. You're just a dog who's been proud for a few years because of the relationship between the Ning family and the Su family. Do you really think you're so important? This damn little bitch was kicked out of Ning Enterprises. She didn't have a penny of stock in her hands. Her reputation was so bad that she was despised by the whole circle. How could she shamelessly occupy the position of the Su family's young mistress? At the thought of such a person staying in the Su family and thinking that she would not be able to meet people in the circle of madams in the future, she wanted to strangle this little bitch. Ning Shuo acted as if she did not hear Zheng Minjun's words. She looked around and said coldly, Where's Su Yan? Why do you care about Su Yan? Just take care of yourself. Which man would be willing to stay at home and see your face that can give people nightmares? Zheng Minjun snapped. Ning Shuo did not say anything. She slammed the door and drove to one of Su Yan's properties in the capital. She knew that Su Yan still had a house outside. In the past, when he didn't go home, he always stayed outside. Just as he was about to press the doorbell, he realized that the door was only ajar. Ning Shuo pushed the door open in her high heels. Halfway there, Ning Shuo's expression suddenly changed. From the direction of the bedroom came the faint sound of a woman moaning. Ah, that's great. Big brother Yin, you're amazing. Faster, faster. The expression on Ning Shuo's face changed from green to white. She quickly rushed to the door and pushed it open. Inside the room, two naked bodies were intertwined together. Su Yin, who hadn't touched her for a long time and had even flown into a rage at her after discovering that she had used the aphrodisiac, was currently lying on top of another woman's body, madly having sex with that woman. Vice President Ning. The woman was so shocked that she peeked her delicate little face out. The moment she saw that face, Ning Shuo's body trembled. Her face was filled with disbelief. Hanzi Xuan. Chapter 2098. The scene in front of her made Ning Shuo's head spin. Her chest felt like it was filled with glass shards. She rushed over, grabbed Han Zixuan's hair, and dragged her out from behind Su Yan. Bitch, How dare you seduce my man? Ah! Han Zishuan screamed, like a pig being slaughtered, but she quickly turned around and tore her hair away. She screamed, "Why wouldn't I dare? Vice President Ning, I respectfully address you as Deputy General Manager. Do you really think that you are still the Deputy General Manager of Starlight Entertainment? Bitch. So what if I'm a bitch? You're worse than a bitch." Ning Shuiluo was mad. "Bitch, what did you say? I'll tear your mouth apart." Han Zishuan didn't care that she was still naked. Instead, she proudly puffed out her chest that was full of ambiguous marks. "Huh, what did I say? You dare to do it yourself. So why are you afraid of others talking about it? Everyone in the circle knows about your dirty deeds. Not only did you frame your adoptive mother's son to seize power, but you also cheated on Su Yin and gave him a bastard. Even a bitch is cleaner than you." There were many people in the hospital that day. They didn't dare to talk about what happened between Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao, but the Ning family, the Su family, and Ning Shuo's dirty deeds have been spread all over the circle. Su Yan's cuckold was comparable to the Siberian prairie. Ning Shuo had never expected that one day she would be humiliated by a bitch who would be considered dirty, even if she sold herself. And this bitch had even climbed into her husband's bed. Ning Shuo stared at the silent man on the bed. "Su Yan, are you crazy? How could you sleep with such a woman? Do you know how many men she has slept with?" Han Zishuan stuck to Su Yan provocatively and rubbed her plump breasts against the man's arm. "So what if I've slept with many men? I'm skilled, and Brother Yin likes me." "You." Ning Shuiluo probably hadn't expected that Han Zishuan would be so shameless. She almost fainted from anger and screamed as she pounced on Han Zishuan. The two of them immediately fought each other. "Ah, Big Brother Yin, save me," Han Zishuan pleaded. "Ning Shuiluo, that's enough." Slap. Su Yin pushed Ning Shuiluo away. Ning Shuiluo was pushed to the ground. She looked at the person in front of her in disbelief. She was about to say Brother Yin, but because Han Zishuan had also called him that just now, she was so disgusted that she couldn't say it. "Su Yin, you actually yelled at me because of this bitch. How could you do this to me? Are you insulting me? Or are you insulting yourself? Was it because this woman looked a bit like Ning Shi? Just because of this, he was even willing to sleep with this kind of slut? But he wasn't willing to touch her?" Ning Shuo was burning with jealousy. Su Yin casually put on a pair of pajamas. His eyes were cloudy, and the bottom of his eyes was greenish-gray. His usually gentle face was now filled with disgust and impatience. "Ning Shuo, I can give you the position of Mrs. Su that you want, but that's all. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other." Ning Shuo bit her lip so hard that it almost bled. Chapter 2099. She loved him so much that she didn't want to leave him even if she was a disgusting cockroach. But now, he wanted her to be a widow. Su Yin. "Hello. Hello." Ning Shuo got up and stumbled out of the car. Unexpectedly, before she could reach the parking lot, a large group of reporters suddenly rushed out of nowhere and surrounded her in an instant. "Miss Ning Shuo, you're ungrateful and killed your foster mother's child. What do you have to say about this?" "Miss Ning, who is the biological father of the child in your stomach? Rumor has it that it's President Wang from Starlight Entertainment. Is that true? Even if the child in your stomach isn't Su Yan's, it's still your biological child. Don't you feel guilty for killing your own child? I heard that you wanted to frame Ning Shi for the deaths of your two children. Did you frame Ning Shi again and again because of your inferiority complex and jealousy? Go away. Go away. I won't accept any interviews." Ning Shuiluo wanted to squeeze out of the crowd, but she was surrounded by the reporters and emotional fans. She couldn't take even half a step. Someone threw a rotten egg at her, and the liquid instantly stuck to her hair and face. Then, more eggs, mineral water bottles, and rotten vegetables were thrown at her. At the Liu family mansion, Yin Rui was furious. "Your parents are outrageous. How can they be so muddle-headed?" Ning, she said nonchalantly, "Mom, it's fine. It's all in the past." Yin Rui took Ning Shi's hand, feeling sorry for her. "Girl, you're too naive. Just tell the Zhuang family. If it's inconvenient for the Zhuang family, you can mention our Lu family. If anyone dares to touch you, you'll suffer. With that, Yin Rui looked a little nervous and said tentatively, Ahem, Xiaoxi, Ting Xiao's birthday is coming soon. As the lady of the Lu family, you must attend it. Although they had gotten along well with Ning Shi, they were still worried that Ning Shi would hate the Lu family and not want to appear as the Lu family's mistress. Of course, Ning Shi didn't think too much about it. With her current status in the entertainment industry, it didn't matter even if she made it public. It was just a matter of time and opportunity. So Ning Shi answered, Okay, Mom, I'll prepare in advance. Good. That's good. Yin Rui finally heaved a sigh of relief. You just go about your business. You don't have to prepare anything. We'll arrange the banquet. You just have to dress up nicely and show up. While Ning Shi was talking to Yin Rui, a loud wail suddenly came from the small garden. Judging from the sound, it seemed to be little fatty Qi Shuai. In the past, Qi Shuai and Xiao Bao got to know each other through fighting. Later on, this little guy liked to follow behind Xiao Bao and pester him to teach him kung fu. The little guy was lively and energetic, which complemented the quiet Xiao Bao very well. The two of them got along well. Grandma Yin? Master hit me. At this moment, the little fatty covered one of his bruised eyes and ran over while crying. What's going on? Why would Xiao Bao hit you all of a sudden? Yin Rui was shocked. Ning Shi was also surprised to see little Bun's bruised eye. Xiao Bao definitely wasn't a child who would hit people for no reason. Chapter 2100. Seeing Xiao Bao standing at the door, Ning Shi waved at him. Xiao Bao, come here. Xiao Bao pursed his lips, squeezed his hands by his side, and then slowly walked up to Ning Shi. Ning Shi rubbed the little Bun's head. What's wrong, baby? Why did you hit Qi Shuai? Did Qi Shuai do something wrong? Qi Shuai almost burst into tears. Auntie, I didn't. And he praised you. But Master suddenly hit me. Ning Shi was even more puzzled by Qi Shuai's words. You praise me? Ha! Little fatty Qi. How did you praise her? Lu Jingli's laughter came from behind. Qi Shuai glared at Lu Jingli. Don't call me little fatty Qi. I really praised Annie. I praise her for being beautiful. Lu Jingli glanced at Xiao Bao, then at Qi Shuai again. Oh, what were your exact words? Qi Shuai rolled his eyes. I said, Master, your stepmother is really beautiful. Yes, that's what I said. Lu Jingli sighed and shook his head. Little fatty Qi, you deserve to be beaten. Who told you to hurt my heart? Qi Shuai was still confused, and Yin Rui coaxed him with snacks. Ning Shi seemed to realize something and pulled Xiao Bao to a corner. Why did you hit Qi Shuai? Can you tell Mommy? Xiao Bao threw himself into Ning Shi's arms. Mommy, I'm here. Mommy. She's not a stepmother. It's Mommy. The little boy's clear eyes were full of stubbornness. Ning Shi felt as if her heart was being gnawed by aphids, and waves of pain came over her. She gently patted the little boy's back and said in an unusually gentle voice, It's Mommy. In the study, Lu Jingli ran to Lu Tingxiao and told him what had happened just now. Hey, Fatty Qi said the wrong thing. He said stepmother and hurt Xiao Bao's feelings. Xiao Bao punched him, and now he is running to Ning Shi for comfort. It seems that Xiao Bao still cares about this matter very much. I think the little guy seems to be in a bad mood these days. But there's no other way. When Ning Shi's identity is revealed, there will be more such things. In the eyes of others, Ning Shi is Xiao Bao's stepmother. When Lu Tingxiao heard this, he lifted his head from the pile of documents and looked a little startled. A moment later, Lu Tingxiao asked in a hoarse voice, How's the investigation going? Lu Jingli's expression turned solemn. Brother, you're right. The surveillance cameras were indeed tampered with. I was wondering how it was possible that there were no traces left behind. I was going crazy from the investigation. It turns out that the person had secretly cut out the few minutes in between. I've already found a team of experts to fix it. It shouldn't be a big problem. It's just a matter of time. Okay. Lu Jingli hesitated for a moment and then asked, Brother, are you going to tell sister-in-law the truth after we find out what happened to Xiao Bao? Xiao Bao's identity and that person, it's you. After a long while, Lu Tingxiao nodded imperceptibly. Time flew by. Soon, it was Lu Tingxiao's birthday. The birthday party was arranged at the top private club in the capital, Tianquan Villa. It had been prepared for several months. Chapter 2101. The guests who came from afar stayed in the villa. The next day, the whole banquet was held in the open air on the wide lawn behind the villa. There was a dance floor, a small band, a big LED screen, and all kinds of delicious food and wine. Nearby, there were entertainment facilities such as a race course, a swimming pool, and a golf course for the guests to relax. There were not many guests present, but each of them was from the top rich and powerful families, including some famous foreign families. Ningxi had arrived early, wondering if there was anything she could do to help. However, Yanrui didn't allow her to do anything for fear that she would be worried and tired. Meng Linlang had always been worried that she wouldn't be able to handle the chores of the Lu family. In the end, she didn't encounter anything. Not only did Yanrui never make any requests of her, she always told her that she was the young mistress of the Lu family, and that she should be doted on and pampered after marrying into the family. Those chores should be done by the servants. Otherwise, what was the point of raising them? She became the most leisurely one. Holding a glass of juice, she found a quiet place to sit and wait for the banquet to officially start. The place where she was staying was near a shooting range, leisurely watching a group of young masters and ladies playing shooting not far away. Xiaoxi, you are here too. Where is Aunt Lin? Not far away, a person suddenly came towards her. His tone sounded a little surprised and enthusiastic, but it was not abrupt, but just right. Today, it was rare for Ningxi to be so high-profile that she wore a long red dress, which made her look incomparably bright. Wherever she sat, even if there was nothing, there was a scene that people couldn't take their eyes off. Even Li Mayan, who was calm, couldn't hide the amazement in his eyes at this moment. Mr. Li, seeing him, Ningxi greeted him politely and then replied, "Aunt hasn't come yet, so I came first." "Well, do you want to go and play with us?" Li Mayan invited her. "Brother Mayan." At this time, an abrupt female voice interrupted their conversation. A sweet mixed-race girl in a yellow gown quickly ran over, held Li Mayan's arm possessively, and looked at Ningxi vigilantly. "Is it you who charmed Brother Mayan and made him ignore me?" Hearing this, Li Mayan frowned and looked a little unhappy. "Lisa, don't talk nonsense. This is, I know, superstar Ningxi. Who didn't know him? Brother Mayan, I thought you had high standards. Did you fall for this kind of woman who only looks good?" The girl looked unconvinced. "Alyssa, Xiaoxi is my friend," Li Mayan emphasized, seeming to be really angry. The girl called Eliza curled her lips and didn't speak, but it seemed that she still didn't want to give up. "Ningxi, let's have a competition. I heard from your fans that you are good at shooting. You shot all the shooting scenes in the movie The Killer. Do you want to have a competition with me? 10 bullets for the total score. It belongs to whoever wins, Brother Mayan." Li Mayan looked embarrassed. He walked to Ningxi and explained in a low voice, "Xiaoxi, I'm sorry. Lisa has been spoiled by her family since she was a child. She's a little willful and has been educated abroad since she was a child, so she's quite straightforward. In fact, she's not a bad person." Not far away, Lu Jingli was setting up the venue when he caught a glimpse of the scene not far away from him. His gossipy heart was immediately ignited, and he immediately made a video call to Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 2102. "Oh, brother, guess what I saw? There's actually a love rival who dares to come and mess with you on such an occasion. And it's the son of Minister Li. Ha ha, brother, your love rival can actually level up. Each level is higher than the previous one." At that time, Lu Tingxiao was still busy in the company. After receiving Lu Jingli's call, he took a look at the video on his phone and couldn't take his eyes off it. "His girl was too beautiful today, brother." "Brother, did you hear what I said?" Lu Jingli looked at his brother's expression in the video and was immediately humiliated. "Fuck, I know your wife is so beautiful today, but can you please move your eyes away a little and look to the side?" Have a sense of crisis, okay? Someone is going to steal your wife again. He didn't even have the heart to say the word again. On the other hand, she didn't say anything in response to Li Mayan's apologetic explanation. It's fine. Alyssa saw Li Mayan whispering to and got even angrier. Hey, are you going to compete or not? I hate being so wishy-washy and snatching. Let's decide the winner and the loser will quit. Or what do you want to compete in? Camellia tea art, horse riding, or swimming? You decide. Li Mayan didn't expect that Eliza would bump into Ningxi today and even say so many inappropriate words. At this moment, he was filled with anxiety, worried that it would affect the image he had painstakingly built in front of Ningxi for so long. However, he was actually secretly looking forward to whether Ningxi would mind. So, with his ability, he could have easily resolved this conflict. However, he didn't stop Alyssa. Instead, he wanted to see her reaction. Miss Alyssa, you seem to have misunderstood something. Mr. Li and I are just friends and I'm married. She didn't want to cause any misunderstandings, so she made it clear. Alyssa laughed. Everyone knew that she was single. How could she be married? As a top artist, her every move was watched by countless eyes. If she was really married, it wouldn't be a secret for long. Alyssa said, "What? You're afraid of losing face, so you're saying this on purpose? Fine, I'll take it that you're married. Being married doesn't mean that you're not thinking about Brother Mayan. If you're not guilty, then compete with me. If I lose, I won't care about you and Brother Mayan anymore." She gently turned the cup in her hand and glanced at Li Mayan, but Li Mayan had no intention of persuading Eliza. At this time, more and more people were watching. After waiting for a while, seeing that Li Mayan still had no intention of speaking, she said, "Okay, let's shoot." Hearing this, Li Mayan's pupils suddenly contracted, as if he did not expect Shi to really agree. As for Shi saying that she was already married, he subconsciously thought that she was using it as an excuse to avoid conflict with Alyssa. Eliza only knew that she was good at shooting, but he didn't know that she was General Zhuang's granddaughter. He had heard from Meng Limling more than once that Shi's shooting skills were superb, even better than Zhuang Rongwang's. Fuck me. Sister-in-law agreed. Lu Jingli was still doing a live broadcast for his brother. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.